on, Morris?
No.
Let's just get the prayer and all that done. Face the east. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Peace and Hotep, Morris. Today's class with Brother Jabbar is entitled The Uniting of Asia. The class came about because over the past maybe month or something like that, Moors who are fighting civics, Moors who are fighting active Moors who have taken the position of swindling people or whatever like that, you know, for packages, for, you know, different stuff. They're coming out the woodworks, you know, pointing fingers at, you know, people we consider master teachers, things like that, you know, try to destabilize something, you know, like they got some power or something like that, right? So, in speaking with, you know, different Moors, you know, across the country, we realized that the real problem is that these individuals are affecting new people coming in. Not necessarily people who's been in this, who's been studying or whatever, but new people that are coming in for whatever reason. I guess it's Allah just to show them or whatever. They usually get to those people first. So in the past, maybe about in the past week or two, I've been getting emails from people, oh yeah, I bumped into this Moor or whatever like that. I bumped into this Moor. He's not really dealing with things, whatever. He tried to sell me this. He tried to tell me that, you know, I can't be a Moor unless I join his whatever, stuff like that. So today's Skype is the Uniting of Asia, so that new Moors, you know, would get this perspective that Brother Jabbar is going to get. And the will is that they would bump into whatever stuff they bump into, and then eventually bump into this. And then when they get to this part's going to list all the names of all the people who they already dealt with that are fraud, you know what I mean? All the people who told them something that they, you know, believed in, and then when they go study, they realize that that's not really what it's about or whatever, right? So I'm going to use the floor and open it up for Brother Jabbar Gaines. More, the floor is yours. Islam, Peace and Hotel.
Rise, praise to Allah, great God, rise, slash prophet, Ali, and everything that he brought us. I thank Allah, I thank his prophet for giving to us our own flag, restoring the flag of our forefathers, the Moorish flag, which is over 50,000 years old in the East, and it's over 10,000 years old here in the West. I thank Allah's Prophet for giving us the Moorish Holy Quran, which is sent to us and given to us to realign our spirit and to be in compliance with Allah's wishes. I thank Allah for the charters that allows us to propagate the faith of Muhammad, the teachings of our Prophet Ali, in a lawful fashion and a lawful manner, in our efforts to uplift fallen humanity. Today's class, beloved, I don't want to even call it really a regular lecture of sorts, but just want to have just a regular conversation, and hopefully this conversation can reach the ears of a lot more of the other members of the Moorish Science Temple and the Moorish movement throughout America. One of the main things that I've been coming across, Moors, and a lot of active Moors have been coming across, is some of the confusion. A lot of the Moors who are seeking to come home and to reclaim their home are experiencing different currents of information and misinformation, and it's creating a lot of confusion and heartache in the movement. It's an unfortunate situation, but nonetheless, it's a situation I think that we can clear up if we just have a little dialogue, open, honest dialogue with one another, with a sincere attempt to modify our behavior and unify. Apologies if you hear the children playing outside. There's a lot of children. I have the door open. You might hear some of the children. If it's a distraction, let me know and I can close the door. But it's a situation, Moors, that, you know, our family members, the unconscious Moors, are coming back, they're coming into the movement, and they're being bombarded with different sorts of information and, like I said, misinformation, and it's creating confusion, and it's dissuading the people from wanting to reclaim their birthrights because they feel like it's too much confusion going on. So, you know, for all the faithful Moors, it's clear from our studies and the example of the Prophet Noble Drawlee that it's our job to set the record straight and set a clear example for these unconscious Moors coming into the knowledge. Before I go further with our conversation, like I said, not a formal lecture, but we're going to just have a conversation about some of the things that we can improve upon, and some of the things we need to focus upon, and some of the things that we can march out and try to change some of our methods to make the movement more cohesive, more, and give some clarity. But I want to first start off by giving some honors out of respect. Before we go any further, I want to give some of the highest honors to the National Grand Sheikh of the Moorish Science Temple of America, our brother Kingu Jabbar Gaines in Mecca. I want to give some special honors to the Supreme Grand Sheikh Ben Yale for all of the years that he's been our people and giving them the knowledge of himself. I want to give special honors to the Supreme Grand Sheikh. I want to give special honors to another elder, our brother Sadiel, another elder who a lot of Moors, in my humble opinion, they have not assessed our brother's extensive knowledge when it comes to the Prophet and his teachings. Brother Sadiel is a very, very resourceful, a very, very valuable source of information for those of us who want to get acquainted with our Prophet. So I want to give special honors for the many, many years that our brother Sadiel has put in for the upliftment for fallen humanity. I want to give honors to that brother, Grand Sheikh Sadiel. I want to give some of the highest honors to our Grand Sheikh and Elder, Brother Taj Tariq Bey, a very unique brother, definitely sent to us by Allah to remind us of our obligations as conscious Moors and active Moors, and serve as and our Grand Sheikh Brother Taj Tariq Bey serves as a stellar example of what it means to be disciplined, consistent, and to have the courage to go redeem our people and give them the knowledge of their birthrights despite hostility from these Roman agencies. So I want to give some of the highest honors I can give to our Grand Sheikh and Elder, Brother Taj Tariq Bey, who personally have taught me throughout the years, like I always in these lectures. There's been many times I almost lost my employment speaking with Brother Dodge, in areas where I'm not supposed to be, not to the federally secured building, not supposed to be on the cell phone, but when Brother Todd was teaching me, I just didn't get it. I was getting information. So, special honors to our Grand Sheik, Brother Todd Street Bay, a dedicated warrior, a true Moorish American Muslim. I want to give special honors to the Grand Sheik, Honorable Pleasant Bay, another elder who put in many, many years in raising the consciousness of our people and being subject to scrutiny, harassment, misinformation by Roman agencies and dirty Moors alike. I want to give special honors to Grand Sheik Honorable Pleasant Bay, another Moor besides Todd that spent a lot of hours teaching me about my birthright, my nationality, what needs to be done in this day and time to further the progress and the gospel of our Prophet Ali. So special honors to Grand Sheik Honorable Pleasant Bay. I want to give honors to Brother Grand Sheik R. Jones Bay, another excellent elder who's kept the gospel and the spirit of Prophet Noble Drew Ali alive here in the wilderness and the suffering of our people out here. That's a good elder, dedicated elder, and he sticks to the Prophet's teachings. So honors to that brother, Brother Grand Sheik R. Jones Bay. I want to give honors to Grand Sheik Clifford Jackson Bay, another dedicated Moor, many years, and I mean many years, of teaching our people out in the streets of Mecca, reaching some of our most fearless brothers that most Moors won't even approach. In Chicago, we have to give honors to the Grand Sheik Clifford Jackson Bay, who kicked down the doors to reach some of our people that most of society threw away. That brother was courageous enough to organize these Moors and get them to come to the Prophet's doors and claim their birthrights. Special honors to the Grand Sheik Clifford Jackson Bay. I want to give honors, and please be patient with me with these honors, Moors, because a lot of times Moors don't get the credit or respect or recognition that they're due. So just bear with me a couple more moments. I want to give some honors to some of the new Moors, some of the younger Moors, active Moors that's making a great contribution to the upliftment of fallen humanity. I want to give a special recognition to the National Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Club of America, Brother Corey Alendale, dedicated brother, working day and night. You call that brother, he's doing something for the movement. I want to give special honors to our brother Grand Sheik Azim Hopkins Bay, a master scholar, dedicated to raising our people up, a good Moor, a Moor with an excellent name and reputation. He's a young Moor in this day and era that we need to try to be like or lift ourselves up to learn to have a good reputation and get a good insight into what it takes to be a dedicated Moor. That's our brother Grand Sheik Azim Hopkins Bay. I want to give honors to the Grand Sheik Nature El Bay. This Moor, personally, I love this Moor because he doesn't fold. He doesn't fold. You know, this Moor is teaching civics. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, Moor.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah, just tell me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brother Nature El Bay dedicated Moor, teaching more civics, and he was teaching civics at a time where other Moorish Americans were afraid to really teach civics. And the brother has given other Moors the courage to go out and stand on their square within the courts, out in society. This brother's giving our brothers a spirit to stand up, you know, as true Moorish American Muslims for our birthrights. So I want to give a special thanks to the Grand Sheik Nature El Bay. Another brother out there is Sharif Davey.
There it goes. Yeah, I have before too.
What do you do?
Internet connection, I think on his end. Yeah, he's more.
Lost you.
Yeah, we had a little glitch in your matrix over there.
Are you on here or my end?
I think it's on your end.
Okay, all right. Let me get through this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. I also want to give out special thanks to the Grand Sheikh, Mariah Bay, R&B Bay Publications for being dedicated, consistent, and representing issues. All right, so with that, I want to give those honors out to those Moors because it's relevant that we show this type of love and recognition with one another. We want to title this class the United Invasion Moors, and I'm sure that any Moors up, all the Moors up there in Canaanland are adept and skillful and knowledgeable, and we're going to talk about some issues more that are sensitive, but we have to talk about it because we have too many Moors around this whole country that's coming into this movement, and they're being met with confusion. And it's not their fault. They're walking into this paradigm of disorganization. And it's up to the Moors, the faithful Moors, to clear up the confusion. But as it was taught to me by the Supreme Grand Sheikh Belial, he said the problems of the North Side Temple of America have never been with the general membership. There's never been an issue with the regular members. The problems and the lack of progress that the Moorish Science Temple of America has experienced in the last near 100 years is directly resulted from the leadership. It's the leadership of Moorish Science Temple of America, the leadership that's stifling progress. That's stifling progress. Pay attention to this, Moors, because I want Moors to go out and to try some new things to see if we can shift the paradigm. Now, one thing that the Prophet Muhammad said, and he taught us, he said, dear Moors, be careful. He said, dear Moors, be careful, because it's your own brother that will place you back into slavery. That's deep, Moors.
Yes.
He said, be careful, because it's your own brother that will place you back into the grips of slavery. Now, although I give honors to all of our elders, we do have, I forgot one brother, one elder. I want to extend an olive branch out to the brother. I forgot to mention the brother, but I want to extend an olive branch to the Grand Sheikh, Braswell Bay. Apologies for forgetting the brother, but honors to that brother who's also been in many, many years redeeming our people. And although we have had our differences, you know, we have to set the example and to our higher self. You know, in the great Quran of Muhammad, of Mecca, Allah constantly says He's the beneficent, the merciful, the beneficent, the merciful. And Moors, being the founder, the children of the founding civilization, we have to follow suit. We have to start becoming more beneficent and merciful with one another. So saying that, although we give honors to these Grand Sheikhs and these elders, we have issues, Moors, that these elders specifically have to set straight in order for the Moorish Science Temple of America to be what it was truly designed to be. As you're all aware, the Moorish movement is growing in America. Moors, this movement is growing. It is growing. It is growing like the same rate that hip-hop was taking off in the 70s and 80s. The hip thing would be more now. But what the Romans are doing, the Romans know that our people are waking up. So one thing they've been trying to do early in this situation, to counter the rise of our people, is that they're trying to criminalize the image and the program and the mission of the Moorish Science Temple of America. They want to criminalize us and defame our characters. That's one thing that they seek to do. The other thing that they want to do is to place what they call agents for the COINTELPRO. I don't know how many Moors are familiar with the COINTELPRO, but it's a vicious operative that exists to destabilize the rise of our people. And in the Moorish Science Temple of America, they have taken special interest to saturate our movement with agents. I want you to hear that again, Moors. The Moorish movement is saturated with agents who are sent here to create confusion and adversity amongst Moorish Americans. Now, again, like I said, I'm giving honors to these grand sheiks. But it's these grand sheiks, Moors, who's going to have to step up to the plate and solidify this movement. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said there's only but one Moorish Science Temple of America upon these shores, and it's his. That's what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said. He said it's only one temple, and it's his. So there's no such thing as a Eden Willie Hill Moorish Science Temple of America, or C. Kirkman Bay, or Johnny Gibbons Ale, etc., etc. There's no such thing. There's only one Science Temple of America. And the main thing that we have to do, Moors, to obey our prophet, to be in sync with Allah's wishes, is something that we often hear in the Moorish Science Temple of America, but it's going to become cliche. And that's to say that we need to learn to love instead of hate. That's very deep, Moors. Today's class, we're going to keep it very basic, because sometimes we get so deep that we lose the basics. And then we continue to spiral with the divisions, and people have animosity with each other, and it stifles the growth in the organization and progress of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which now we have to reorganize, recalibrate it, and get up to par where it should be, coming from 100 years since the physical departure of our prophet. Now, we're going to talk about some problems that exist, Moors. It's going to be kind of touchy, but you know, we got to have thick skin to get through it. So don't have no thin skin. You got to have thick skin when you're inside it. You know, in the military, you know, the first sergeant commander, sometimes they get up in your face, you know, they'll call you racial slurs. You know, they say racial epithets towards you, talk about your mother, talk about your father, your filthy children. It's all kinds of things. But they do that to desensitize you. So if you are on the front line in the war and your battle buddy next to you, you know, y'all might be pinned down, frustrated, going through a situation, he said something racial to you, you're going to turn around and blow his head off. So Moors, we're going to have thick skin as we talk about the issues of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, one of the things that sister and a brother just called me, right? Now they said, and I'm going to say a couple of names so that, you know, those people that belong to these particular bodies, you can go back and clean up the situation. Otherwise, I'm not a big person to be throwing out names for the putting out names' sake. Okay, but for the sake of getting to the facts and to the remedies, we have to say some names here to clear up the situation. All right, now we're talking about the Uniting of Asia. And we're talking about the upliftment of humanity. The number one thing that's indicative that points to the upliftment of our people is the uniting of Asia. Are the Asiatics unifying? Are the Asiatics working together and following their constitutions and following their laws and bylaws and divine instructions and divine warnings so that we may avoid the wrath of Allah? That's the question. Because the prophet said he was here to uplift us and for us to flee from the wrath of Allah. That's the whole mission. How can we flee from the wrath of Allah if we don't have the right instructions to know which direction we should flee? That's the question. Now, some of the things that's going on in the Moorish side of America with these divisions and these so-called perceived grand bodies, different grand bodies, there's only one, but these perceived grand bodies that exist, these Moorish organizations, they're becoming to a point where it's causing new Moors to lose faith in their prophet before they firmly get rooted into the teaching of the gospel of our prophet. That's what we got to talk about today. We got to talk about some of the issues that's clogging up the arteries of our movement. Like, for example, there's a sister. I don't have her name, but she belongs to the organization up under Brother Brownsville Bay. Now, please, somebody go do the homework and follow up along with others. But this situation is just an example. There's a sister currently going on right now facing, okay, as I'm told, facing charges for in his organization for fraternization with other Moorish Americans that belong to a different body of Moors. Now, Moors, if that's true, that's insane.
That's club right there, yeah. What?
That she was taking pictures, socializing, intermingling with her family members, her brothers and sisters, all from one divine Father, not doing nothing criminal, not nothing doing something immoral. She wasn't doing something immoral. She was simply fellowshipping with other Moors who simply did not belong to the organization that is up under and headed by Brother Brownsville Bay. Now, I pray Allah that that's not accurate. I'm praying Allah that's not accurate. But it sounds like it's accurate. And we don't know by being told, we have to go further investigate. But if that's the situation, Moors, we gotta clear that up. Somebody has to stand up, contact that brother and his bare body, and set the record straight. You just can't say, Moors, that's their situation. I'm not part of that group. You know what I'm saying? It's only one temple. It's just like if your personal body, right? If we have a cancer in your limb, it's just a matter of time before it consumes you. You know, you have to take care of it. You can't say, if I got that blood clot in my ankle, it ain't bothering my upper torso. You have to take care of it. So this is one of the situations that's where Moors are not allowed to communicate with other Moors because they belong to a different organization of Moors. It's insane. The Prophet told us, be careful, because it will be your own brothers that will enslave you. Now, speaking about that, Moors, I'm trying to pinpoint what's some of the differences, what's some of the issues with some of these national, influential Moorish American leaders, that they can't come together and work as one organization? What's the problem? What's the problem? Moors, let's be real with one another. What's the problem?
Emotions.
Why can't this brother, for example, our brother, Elohim President Bay, a beautiful brother. Our brother Rasadiel, a beautiful brother. Both of them are extremely intelligent, and both of them love Prophet Noble Drew Ali. How can both of you love Noble Drew Ali and both of you are adepts? Listen, man, listen to this, Lord. Both of you are adepts. Both of you love Noble Drew Ali, and both of you have a national following, but through all of that knowledge and wisdom, all of that knowledge and wisdom, you can't come down and sit down with your brother. You can't sit down with your brother. You can't clear up the air. More spitting out books. Both of those boys got 2 telephone-sized books. But through all of those pages of knowledge and wisdom and guidance, we can't humble out and sit down with our brother and come up with the cohesive plan that submits to the teachings of our prophet. Come on, boys, think over that. You can't sit down with your brother. And these are the top issues that the Moors are facing when they come in this movement. They want to know, why am I here and so many other Moors over there? It's divisiveness. And divisiveness of that nature is the spawn of state. You can't tell me or any other good Moorish American Muslim that you are an adult, but you can't forgive your brother. Moors, I had a conversation with my elder, Brother Rasadiel. I had a good conversation with my elder. And he told me, he said, Brother Jabbar, he said, the Holy Prophet taught us that 2 Moorish American Muslims was to even get to an elevated situation to where it got physical. And one more strikes the other one in the face with such a blow force that it knocks him to the ground. That the Moorish American that punched that brother in the face, right, reaches down his hand, extends his hand to pick him up, and the Moor that's laying on the ground, he doesn't accept his hand and help him to his feet. He said, the brother on the ground is not a true Moorish American Muslim. And he said, the brother did the punch, do the punch, if he doesn't accept his hand to help his brother up, neither is he a Moorish American Muslim. That's deep. If we don't offer the help, you're not a true Muslim. And if we don't accept the help, you're not a true Muslim. The words of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But what's the undercurrent essence? Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Now this is the elders teaching. This is the elder teaching. This is the elder teaching. Now, again, if we say that we are adepts, Lord, that we are adepts, you cannot be an adept if you allow yourself to hate rather than love. Excuse me, Lord. It's like, we got a class. You can chime in, okay? We're in the middle of class. You can listen. But if you're an adept, you have to have mercy and love in your heart for your sister and your brother. There should be nothing. There should be nothing that your brother or your sister does to you that's offensive that you can't forgive them. I'll say that again, boys, because we have to air out the moral side system of America. Everybody has something done to them by a sister or a brother that offended them. Everybody. I offended somebody, I'm sure. I pray for your forgiveness. I pray for your forgiveness, I do. And I forgive people that trespass against me. But more, you got to put it in perspective. Here we are growing. We're living in a special time, Moors. You watch that news channel, Moors. Watch some of that news. Some of it's legitimate. You watch that news, and look what's going on throughout the world. It's our time. The Moorish science of America, right, is only one of two legitimate religious organizations of a nation-state entity or status in America, the other being the Catholic Church. But we are growing, Moors. I'm telling you, we're growing. And the only thing that I think Romans have that can stall or rise to power and authority so that we can show humanity how to live in peace is that first we have to be better practitioners of peace, and we have to start unifying with one another. We're already being attacked as the Moorish Science Temple of America from so many angles, right? And then we have Moors, educated Moors, religious Moors, but none as a minority who have mass good grasp of the civics as it pertains to our birthrights and the implementation of all of our heredities. But you cannot progress as a nation when it comes to your birthrights if you do not have the whole of your nation in sync with them. And that's what we've been experiencing. Some Moors are saying, well, if I stand on my birthrights, it don't work. No, it does work. What does not work is going alone. That's what doesn't work. Going alone doesn't work. So we need to spend more time in solidifying our ranks as a nation, Moors. We are bypassing, we're looking over the importance of unity. Unity is essential. It's not some good feeling something. All power and strength and force comes through unity when it comes to national efforts. We can't go it alone, Moors. We need each other. One thing I want to talk about was some of this current national leadership. For example, our brother, if I'm not mistaken, R. Jones Bay, our Moorish Science Temple of America, Inc., they have a positioning with the prison systems around the country. And our brother Ras Sadiel has filed a lawsuit, which he rightfully can do, filed a lawsuit pertaining to the authority and the right to represent and to teach the doctrine of Prophet Noble Drawlee and to establish the Moorish Science Temple of America amongst incarcerated members. Now, here's another dilemma. Moors, why is there a problem? Why is there a problem? How is it that we're both teaching medicine, but you cannot get along? Why does it have to be two different entities behind the prison walls? There's only one Moorish Science Temple of America. It shouldn't have to be an issue with brothers who are already dealing with the frustrations of being locked up away from their families, away from their wives, away from their children, away from their freedom, that they have to deal with the fact that in such a divine organization that we have to deal with this type of madness. tell me why can't Ross Sadiel and the Moorish High School of America Inc., why can't you just come together and obey the prophet and have one temple behind the prison walls? Usually, it's because somebody has a personal investment, and they're using their personal investment to trump the instructions of Prophet Noble Ali. That's cut and dry. Don't be upset with your brother. All right? Whenever somebody does not obey a clear instruction to love and unify with your family, there's nothing that's going on that's so offensive that you can't get with your brother. Why can't you sit down together? Think about this, Morris. Why can't you sit down together and have one temple behind these prison walls? I'll tell you why. Because usually there's finances involved. Because once you add up the numbers of your membership, and these Moors have to pay the per capita tax as a faithful member, then you're looking at finances for yourself or for your particular organization. That's the sad reality, since I can't think of any other reason. We got the same Constitution, we got the same holy book, we have the same nice, right? We have the same laws. So why can't we sit down? Because people want to argue for vain reasons for seats, perceived authority. There's only one authority in the Moorish High School of America. Here's who it is. But see, why we can't get along is because people are putting their personal interest, their personal greed, their own agendas before the salvation of our babies. They don't care that we have new Moors coming into the temple, walking through the doors. Like, man, I'm talking to this sister or brother from this organization, and they say that this Supreme Grand Sheikh or this Moor is not this or that. We can't go on like this, Moor. I want to encourage all the Moors who see this class to go approach your national leadership on obeying Prophet Noble Johnny's orders as functioning as one temple. Now, whatever the historical problems are, Moors, whatever the past beefs, all right, try to stay relevant, use the language, whatever the past beefs that existed, right, they're really immaterial, but if it's still in your heart, we should set a date up where all the Moors can convene at an agreed location, preferably, I would like to see Mecca. Where all the Moors should come to Mecca, whether if you belong to Clifford Jackson Bay's body, if you belong to Orange Bay, Elohim Pleasant Bay, Ras Sadiel, Braswell Bay, National Nation, King Lamar Bay, whoever you demonstrate with, approach your leadership, Moors. It's your right as a member. Approach your leadership about obeying the prophet's instructions. Because right now, Moors, if you go to Mecca, right now, we won't have anything that truly represents, and I'm speaking about a physical location. Now we have buildings now to our proper temples, good temples, but nothing that reflects the way it should be, but the growing membership of the Moorish High School in America around the country. We don't have anything that's indicative that reflects the numbers out here. Because the finances are being split up, Moors. Now I'm talking in-house, serious business, and I had to, I want to divulge everything in this type of forum, but I want to share enough that it can reach different Moors and different organizations. Because what's going on, Moors, this type of confusion now Although we have the de jure Moorish Science Temple of America in place, we need to bring all of the different factions that have left to come back and reunite. And if there are issues that have to be addressed, then we'll raise those issues. But no more belong to anybody should be complacent and satisfied with just existing within your body and know that there's other Moorish groups that you're not working with or you're not allowed to work with. We have to solidify this movement, because if we don't, boys, we're going to have people coming in this movement, right? And listen up. You're going to have Moors, you're going to have individuals coming into this movement. They're going to perceive some type of weakness, that they think that they can come in, right, and take over the Moorish situation. This is some serious business, Moors. If you think we've been stifled for the past 80 years or so, 90 years, 100 years, it can get worse. You're going to have some dirty individuals trying to come in this movement, right, and try to take over the Moorish situation. And the Moorish situation is already bad enough as it is with qualified Moors. Now, the Moors that I mentioned earlier today, Moors, these are all certified Moors. When we speak about our brother, Jabbar Gaines, he's a certified, his credentials are legit. When we talk about Brother Elohim President Bay, his credentials and past experiences are legit. R.Joe's Bay is legit. Brother Taj Tariq Bay, legitimate. Clifford Jackson Bay, legitimate. And even with legitimate Moors, look at the trouble we got. Look at the trouble that's on our hands. Do you know what we can be doing financially for ourselves if we were all together? But just what's going to happen to the finances, though, when we have illegitimate individuals with self-serving ambitions come into this movement or come around the movement. Now, I've been getting phone calls, Moors. I've been getting a few phone calls now. And Moors want me to address his brother, the brother Abba, Way L, some of the comments or some of the programs that he's been offering up to the public. I had to take some time out to go look at them, because I personally, I met the brother before, but I never really kept up with none of his activities. But I had to take time out, because man don't know anything about being told, Moors. You gotta go investigate for yourself. So I've been taking some time off, weeks and weeks actually, looking at some of this brother's material. I'm gonna call him brother because I'm really doing on my higher state right now. But looking at his material, and I gotta warn you, Moors. This individual, Abu, I'm saying candid, like I said, I'm not fond of, really clearing things up on people personally, but when you got misinformation that's coming out like this, at a steady stream like this, a steady flow like this, you gotta say, okay, we gotta put the brakes on it. Alright? First off, I wanna say that no true Moorish American Muslim, alright, disrespects his or her elder. No Moorish American Muslim does. Okay? Some of the more recent stuff that I seen a program, I'm just gonna take a few minutes on this, but I seen a program where this individual, Abba, mentioned something about the sovereign Moors, and he referenced and classified one of my main teachers who, through my experience with following the Prophet, as a sovereign Moor, right? And other good, faithful Moors, his own brothers and own sisters, as sovereign Moors. Now, Moors, Prophet Noble Ali said this, that not only is he a prophet, but that he was a general. Go look it up. Prophet Noble Ali said he was not just a prophet, but in fact he was a general. When the prophet said that he was a general, that's indicative that there's a conflict going on, there's a war going on, right? So that means you have to use intelligence, you have to use wisdom. If this individual if this individual has good intention, and if he's as intelligent as he would like to portray himself to be, if he's a good-hearted Moor with good intentions, I don't see any more classifying his fellow brother or sister as a sovereign. I want you guys to listen to this, Moors. We have Moors that's being incarcerated for less than that, and they still locked up. We got Moors that's locked up for less. But then we have this individual, he's going to call our elders, refer to our elders and other younger faithful Moors as sovereign Moors, placing them in direct fire of these inquisitionists to come pick them up, incarcerate them, brutalize them, or whatever have you, all for what? This Moor, I watch some of his material, Moors, and I got a camel up on it. I just got to get on the camel because I'm seeing a Moor that's disrespecting our elders and trying to make a mockery of our elders for obeying the Prophet's laws. Now this is a Moor, Lord Albert. If you listen to this Moor, I'm going to give you a caveat. If you're not saying that Mecca doesn't have some things to tighten up. Every nation does. Every nation does. But no true Moorish American Muslim disrespects or make mockery of their elders, Moors. Some of these Moors have put their lives on the line for us, such as Brother Taj Tariq Bey, put his life on the line for us. He didn't have to come out and do this. He teaches us our birthrights. He don't have to do this. Sister Rosmaria, she don't have to keep the website full of information. She can be selfish and live well while her people are going through hell. I don't know no good Moor that's going to put our elders in harm's way like that. But see, there's a lot that people don't know. You see, you can't say that you're an adept of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Well, let me say this. Since the brother Lord Albert was talking about law, he seems to be into law pretty much. But you can't teach the brother Lord Albert, I hope that you call me, because I called the brother a couple of times. He won't call me back. He won't pick up my phone. I text him. He won't text me back. I never offended the brother. I never did anything disrespectful. I just wanted to clear up the matter. I see him going in on these old Moors, these elderly Moors, like the Supreme Grand Sheik, who spends a lot of time in a wheelchair. Almost 100 years? Almost. And you want to attack an elder like that, I'm more than willing to talk to you. But I want to talk about some of the things. I want to talk about this brother's character. Now I'm going to share something with you Moors that a lot of you Moors don't know. And not just with Moors in class, in the room there, but the Moors that may see this class on the internet. I I'm going to share something with you about this brother Apple, Lord Apple, Sheikh Rael, and he called my bluff on it. You want to be careful of a person, number one, who says that he's a thing or represents something that he doesn't. Just for the record, coming from Grand Major Temple, I'm making note, officially, bona fide, all right, bona fide, for the record, Lord Abba is not a grand sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And not only that, Moors, he's not even a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's just for the record. All right, that's just his credentials on the record. That he's not a grand sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. He doesn't have any true knowledge of the internal happenings of the Moorish Science Temple of America to make anybody else qualified. But this is something that you Moors ought to need to know, okay? We have to expose certain characters like this so you know their intentions. Now, the elder Ras Sadiel, I know you Moors got to know Ras Sadiel. I was talking to Brother Ras Sadiel. He told me he was approached by Lord Am, right? And this is to show you, alright? This is to show you, and the brother can correct himself if he wants to, but we're talking about what it is. This skunk mentality. He calls Ras Sadiel and makes a proposition. He makes a proposition, alright? A gambling bet, if you will. He places a bet. He tells you, Brother Sheikh Ras Sadiel, he says, I'm willing to pay you $10,000. And this is Lord Albert talking to Ras Sadiel. Go do your homework, boards, and check it out. Get back with me. Alright? He called Ras Sadiel up, offered him $10,000 to debate him. He said to Ras Sadiel, let's have a public debate. If I win the debate, if the people say that I won the debate, then you have to sign over your membership, your following over to me. If I win. If you win, he's talking to Ras Sadiel, if you win, then I'll pay you $10,000. Now, why the Red Moors? That should tell you that's a genius individual amongst many other things. That he looks at your soul and your spirit, the prophet's flock, as something that he can put a wager on. Okay? To put a wager on our souls and our spirits that we can be signed over like with some type of chattel property. Now, of course, it goes without saying that the Grand Sheikh Ras Sadiel was disgusted with the proposition itself, but to entertain this buffoonery, he accepted it. He said Lord Albert wanted to do it somewhere in New York. Ras Sadiel said, you're not going to get me around a bunch of heathens hooping and hollering for you, and then have you sign my membership over to you. We'll pick somewhere else. So they went back and forth, and Ras Sadiel said he finally agreed to have it wherever he wanted to have it. He said Lord Albert backed out the deal. And for the record, and I hope the individual, Lord Albert, who was not a great sheik of the Moorish Science Temple nor a member, I hope that you are aware that Ras Sadiel said that he wanted $10,000. He's waiting on his $10,000. Now, why am I sharing that with you, Moors? That's some pretty egregious material to hear. But if a person can have that type of mentality when we're dealing with the suffrage of our people, you can rest assured that the other intentions that you don't know about is something you need to be aware of. Be weary of the man who doesn't respond, who shows an interest in Prophet Muhammad's teachings, but don't want to follow the law. If you listen to some of this brother's radio shows, he often calls the people, the elders and the other Moors, particularly Grand Major Temple, he likes to call them Pharisees. He always says, you know, I'm dealing with these Pharisees. They're only concerned with the law. Now, first off, it don't take a scientist to know that he's trying to work on the outverse of the subconscious of the people that he's saying things like this to. You know, if you call us, those who are protecting the prophet's laws, Pharisees, then somebody's going to subconsciously identify you with being Jesus. You call us Pharisees. You know, if following the prophet's laws makes me a Pharisee, then I'm a Pharisee. If following the prophet's law makes me a yellow cow, right, with 13 legs, that's what I'll be. But we gotta have law and we gotta have order, Moors. The movement is too fragmented, and we have to work on unity. And one thing I tell all the Moors I talk to around the country, we have to start uplifting our women, because it's the women, it's the Moorish American Muslim women that's going to be the ones that unify this movement and take us further into the future where we need to be as truly want to. It's going to be the women. Because if you look at all of the issues and all of the negativity in the Moorish movement, it's coming from the brothers. It's coming from the brothers pounding their chests, right? Operating from the Lord itself. They have been so hard, they can't forgive their own brother. There's nothing that anybody's done to me in this Moorish movement that I can't sit down, talk to you like a true Muslim, work it out, give you a sincere hug and sincere understanding, and we can get on the same footing and work together for the cohesiveness of the Moorish Science of America. Moors, I want you to move to this. I want you to challenge leadership and call up some of these leaders and put them to task. I mean, challenge these people. These people, there's nothing wrong with speaking truth to power. You call your grand sheiks up. Call these different leaders up and say, hey, why can't you sit down with this brother in your organization? We set a deal up in Chicago, and we all convene in Chicago at a nice hotel. I'll personally pay for it. I'm putting on the record. If all these Moors want to come together, I will foot the dime. That's recorded. If we can get all these Moors together, we can go to a nice hotel, and let's iron out, Moors. Because I'm telling you, we are growing as a nation. We are growing as a nation. And we don't need to have Moors say, well, I don't talk to those Moors because they're too often to the civics. Or these Moors are too often to the esoteric. No, we have both of them, Moors. We have all of it. And I'm telling you, if we don't come together, Moors, if we don't come together, it's going to be really, really bad, Moors. I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really bad. Because we can't continue. I don't have much time. We can't continue having small portions of Moors getting incarcerated, and they don't have the backing of their nation. That's what's going on. They are getting incarcerated, they're being mistreated, right? Their processes are being abused because they don't have the backing of the nation. And that's why the Grand Sheik, the Elder Todd, said, look, we need to fall back a little bit, as any wise general will do, make reassessments. Any wise general will make reassessments, when to advance, when to pause, or even retreat. We need to reassess, because either our people are not getting the information properly, but we definitely need to get our people on the same footing as far as a national consciousness. We have to focus on the national consciousness. We can't be individual Moors getting caught up in Negro activities and then want an immediate out by trying to apply Moorish birthrights to a filthy subject matter. We had a Moor up here, he was drinking and driving, He was drinking and driving. He got caught with some marijuana, a lot of marijuana, in his vehicle. I don't even know this more. Somebody passed my number to him. He called me up, talking about he wants some help. I was like, what temple do you belong to, Lord? And what's the nature of the situation? The more they're not going to the temple, and the subject matter is something I definitely know I'm not involved with, so I can't help you, Lord. You clear that up as a Negro situation, when you want to live your life right, and be clean, right, and be a productive citizen, then that's where we can help you, Lord. But I'm not into helping no Moors or nobody who's out here doing illegal stuff, running them up, living a filthy life, because this Moorish birthright is not just on this vibratory plane. It's the sincerity, it's the energy that's going to protect you, Moors. You follow what I'm saying? It's the energy. This is deep. I mean, it's the energy that protects you. And I'm going to tell you something. Every European judge, so-called judge or magistrate, is not out to get you. That's what blows some of your minds. What? Every European magistrate is not out to get you. If they know that you are truly clean, they'll honor you, and you obeying the fourth others' laws. They will respect you. And I'm getting proof. Every time I had a situation up to date, so far, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, but so far, when I ask for something from these Europeans, they give it to me, more. They give it to me. And I don't know how they got me classified, because all I know is, I do know this. The FBI came to my house a few years ago. The FBI came to my house, beloved. Think over that. I'm still thinking over that. You know, I look at it, the more I read, the more I study, and you know, the deeper I get into my people, I gotta recalibrate that and replace my brain. FBI came to my house. And like I told them all, when I opened the door up, you know, he flashed his badge, FBI agent, and my immediate response was, did somebody murder my mother? That's why I asked him. It's still etched in my brain right now. He flashed the FBI badge. And I said, who killed my mother? He said, no, nobody killed your mother. I said, am I under arrest? He said, no, you're not under arrest by far. You're not under arrest. I was like, what's going on? You know, what you want? He said, well, we want to talk to you about the county recorder, the gentleman, the county recorder, and we want to talk about your article that you wrote about the Moorish Americans. I didn't let him in my house. I stepped outside, talked to him for a few minutes. Because I didn't want to think we're some hooligans or we're not civilized or refined enough to have a brief dialogue with them. But I talked to him, you know. But long story short, you know, I think over that, like I shared with the Grand Sheik Cujo, you know, that let me know, Moors, that we have the truth. That was just one other instance to let me know we had the truth, Moors. Because when I think about the FBI, I think about, you know, I think about when UFOs come, you know, they wrote something major, you know what I'm saying? Russia, somebody's coming, you know what I'm saying? They came over and knocked on my door and talked about the article I wrote about the Moorish American. That one about the local media politicians attacking Moorish Americans. That Moorish Americans, that article. That should tell you something, folks. They don't want the people to get this knowledge. They don't want our people to get this knowledge. But what good is the knowledge if Asia is not united? You don't have the power to do what you're supposed to do as a nation when you're scattered abroad. So I'm gonna wrap this up because I told the Grand Sheik Cujo Royale wasn't gonna be a long sit down today. But this is the bullet that want to leave with the Moors to go out there to use. Call these national leaders up yourself. Take it on and come back and report to your temple and share with your grand sheik what kind of conversation you had on why these grand sheiks cannot sit down and talk together. You know what I'm saying? Why can't Braswell Bay sit down with the grand sheik Elihu Plexigate and work it out and work together? I don't agree with all these elders. I don't agree with all of them. I'm not going to bash them. Like some of these dirty Moors who are not even a member of the Moor Science Club of America is doing. I'm not going to bash them. See, and that's one thing that's something else I'm going to say, Moors. A lot of these dirty Moors, I'm talking about Lord Albert and the likes. I'm talking about this Moor in particular. This Moor, he likes to use the prophet's words, right? He likes to use the prophet's words to try to justify his subversive antics. He likes to say, he likes to quote that he's the new Moor, and every violation basically that he does, right? Every violation that he's committing, I really can't call it a violation. It's not even a member of the Moor Science Club of America. Let's entertain that. Every violation that he does, he said, well, we're the new Moors. We're going to sit you with all the streets, the elders, and the hostile. Let me tell you something, Moors. The new Moors are going to sit the old Moors in the back of the temple eventually. It's coming. But let me tell you this, it's not a transference of authority through hostility. It's not that. This is how you can expose these dirty Moors. See, the new Moors, they're legitimate. They have credentials. And there's nothing wrong with asking a Moor for his or her credentials. The prophet said this is not a social club. See, in a social club, you can do stuff like that. You don't like this person, you don't like the rule, you'll start your own social club. But this is not a social club. This is about free national government. And just like in Capitol Hill in D.C. amongst the Europeans, you had Republicans and Democrats sitting on Capitol Hill. They're in Congress. They do not agree with most of the things that they have to deal with. They do not agree. Very few things are they bipartisan. But do you think that you or I walk up to Capitol Hill, walk through the doors, disrupt Congress, declare ourselves congressmen, and try to adjudicate a situation? What will happen to you? See, I understand why Lord Albert, when he was going off on the Elder Taj Street Bay, because Taj is a very wise elder. He's not going to entertain that buffoonery. He's not going to entertain it. Not 1 second. He'll let you self-dissolve. Because he's an elder. But since younger Moors, we have to go after him. That's why I asked. I said, well, if you're going to take Brother Taj about the Sovereign Moors, if you're going to read that Sovereigns and Black article, they attack you. You can attack me personally. They're going into my computer file. They're going into my phone calls, my letters. You know, Morris got my file 15 years ago. They're going through all that. Now, if you're going to attack somebody for being a Sovereign Moor, you should attack your brother, not them. Attack the young brother. Why are you going to attack the elder? Why are you going to attack the elder? Why don't you attack the younger? It'd be more logical. And I'm like Brother Taj, I don't entertain buffoonery in these debates. They don't really prove they don't have no fruit. But even if I was entertaining that, that notion with Lord Albert. If I was going to entertain that and have a debate with Lord Albert, I know the result. But aside from that result, I don't think we'll even get around to the debate. Because the ones that come with me, Lord Albert, or you won't get to debate. Because we deal with free national standards, and when you deal with the nation, you're going to deal with people that guard the nation, boys. So I want you to know, in closing out, boys, that wars are growing in this country. The consciousness is growing, the rents are being filled, and the Moors know what day they're living in. The Moors know what they're living in, and they're obeying the prophet's laws. But the main thing that's ahead of us, boys, we got to put the prophet out first. We got to put Prophet Noble Charlie first. And Prophet Noble Charlie said, if we don't put him first, we won't be successful. Anything that we do, Moorish Americans, we got to put Prophet Noble Charlie at the head of it. If you don't, you won't be successful. I'm going to say that again before we leave. If you don't put Prophet Noble Charlie out first, you won't be successful, boys. And anytime you have a Moorish American leader come before you, let the teachings and the instructions that we got from Prophet Noble Charlie be the guide for how you pursue or work with your national leadership. This is your movement. The Moorish Science Temple of America doesn't belong to the officers, it belongs to the people. It's your movement. You have to nurture it. You have to protect it. You have to grow it. You have to defend it. So, Moors, with the homework that we're living with today, go home and do what the Prophet Jesus said do. Go home amongst your teachers and test their spirit. Test their spirit. All guys will obey up. I asked if you have a sister that you open up the temple, simply talking and fellowshipping with other Moorish Americans who don't belong with your group. Call these different Moors up and ask them, why can't you work with your brother? Because the uniting of Asia is what the prophet came for. So with that, Moors, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope I wasn't too, hope I didn't beat the issue up too much, but I want you boys to know that we've got to solidify the movement, you do some other good work, and continue to do good work. With that, very shit, Joel, I'm going to say Islam.
Islam, more peace and love.
Islam.
Islam. There he goes. Everything's good, fam.
Yeah, my brother, you want a chair back there?
I'm good, I'm good.
So that was the uniting of Asia. No, we could let's hit that like right there. You have to make a move? Are you good? Alright, yeah, so that was that. We'll just open up and make a move. Alright, fam. Let me give you a link, alright? Yeah. If anybody got anything, floating around, just throw them up and we'll try to address those stuff right now. You want to talk about that thing from?
Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I sorry. First, I apologize for coming late.
It's all right. No worries, man. It's all good.
Who was that?
Oh, that was Jabbar. That was Jabbar Gaines. He's a Moor out in Indiana. And I got through with him because I was doing some research on, what was I researching? I was researching something, and his name came up in some articles online with the Southern Poverty Law Center. So Southern Poverty Law Center just some what do you call them? Eyes of the state, you know. And whenever there's, you know, criminal stuff and terrorist type stuff, whatever like that, they, you know, there's stuff against the Jews and things like that. These are the guys who usually put it out.
Oh,
so he wrote some articles to counteract some things that they had on their website about Moors. So that when he wrote those articles and submitted it to them, then that's where the whole FBI thing FBI come to visit them and all that.
SPLC.
Yeah, SPLC. So just another, you know, just like they're just like the Anti-Defamation League or whatever like that. Same concept. You know what I mean? Alphabet Boys. Yeah, Alphabet Boys. just running their little game. Right. But yeah, so brother at court Monday?
The 3rd.
3rd. Right? Yeah, if you want to just, you know, you could just...
Yeah, I went to court and my special appearance. And when I got there, the police officer came up to me who arrested me. And he was like, are you Romanian? I'm like, yeah, I'm Romanian. Whatever, we have ID? And I showed him my ID and then that was my nationality card, and he's like, oh, I think we have a problem here. Because he's seen, and he's like, oh, you're Bobo. So he brought me to the prosecutor, and he's like, prosecutor, we have a problem here. Romain changed his name. And the prosecutor didn't really care, he just looked at the card and I was like, okay, whatever. And after that, I was talking to the prosecutor, and I asked him, did you receive my paperwork? He's like, no. Because I guess I never sent it to the Crown office.
Oh yeah, what was it that you sent again? What did you send?
The writs of it. Special appearance and writ of discovery.
You register mail it?
Well, yeah, I sent it to the court. I guess the judge had it. But...
Register mail it, right?
Huh?
Register mail?
Yeah, registered mail, yeah.
And then he had it.
Yeah, I know somebody signed for it. So.
Yeah, well, that's them accepting it.
Yeah.
Next time
I
you
don't
should.
care if it's like in their hands.
Next time you should go to the Crown Attorney's office in the building that the courts are at, and hand it to them and let them stamp it right in front of you.
Officially.
And they'll get it right away.
On the day of? On the day of?
I would do it before.
Me too.
Do before, do a couple days
time.
before, a month before,
Yeah.
if you want to.
Because we usually have time before we have to go.
Yeah.
So if you get, okay, let's put it like this. The protocol is 3 days. If they do something to you, your response to them should be in 3 days. So if they send you a letter, hi, you know, how you doing? We got this thing in collections or whatever. We want to hear from you about, you know, you're gonna pay this. Your response to them should be no longer than 3 days, because that's kind of the standard for the response.
Okay.
Right? Not that anything's gonna happen or not happen, but it shows that you're on, you know, you're 3 days, you're getting a reply back. You know, obviously, you know what the hell you're, you know. The majority of people that are on, I'll deal with it later or whatever. Especially if it's things where they're coming at us for stuff. You know, debts, court, tickets, you know, pull over or whatever. You know, so even with the situation with tickets, if you're gonna fight a ticket, the day that you get it, the 3rd day you should already have this stuff already done up, ready to get sent out. Even if your trial's 5 years from now.
3 days response.
3 days. Just so you can put your stuff on the record, because it's really all about what we do. Doesn't matter what they do, because they're bankrupt, insolvent, dissolved. They don't have no offices. They're just, you know, guy that just walks out here, you know, ran around the back, put on a suit or whatever, and throw a black thing over it and sit on a chair, say he's the judge.
De facto.
And then everybody's in there bowing to him, or yeah, you know, make sure when they leave the room, bowing to him or whatever. The judge is coming in the room, everybody stand up and all that when they don't have any authority at all. They're just regular people dressing up like the authority. because we all know that if somebody says that means they're on a certain level than other people. So if somebody says that they're this, if somebody says they're that, and then we're over here and we get a ticket, and then we're not going here to deal with it, when these are the court, right, then who's Ontario Justice? Who's that? Who's
Who's superior? Superior.
who's municipal?
That's the real point.
That's the real point.
Superior?
Yeah.
Right? Who's superior? Because even when
That's the one.
even when they use the
That's the one I
term
knew about.
superior,
Yeah.
superior doesn't trump supreme.
It's the offspring of
You know what I
superior.
mean? It's still a subordinate jurisdiction. So the superior court, right? And then the second part of it is that if you go to this place, they're gonna have something on the wall that says they're a court, right? Bronze plaque, whatever. All these guys, you go right now, you probably even be able to see it through the window. You go down to the court right down there, look inside, their stuff's gonna say administrative.
Business.
Big plaque on the wall. Right, we talked about this before. Then they're gonna have business hours, not court hours. Right on the door, right on the glass, before you even go into the place. They're letting people know that we're administrative. We're a business. We're all about money. So when you come in here, make sure you have debit card, credit card, cash in your pocket, whatever. Because you're not leaving there without paying something, guaranteed.
It's telling you right there, and you're just so
walk right by
so
Yeah.
Right.
so blind to it.
Right? So, right, so this is the only real court.
It's a slap
This
in
is
the
why,
face.
you know,
More than
Supreme Court in Ottawa. Right? By, you know, and then that's right on the, you know, the Rideau Canal. Right? Because they want to keep this jurisdiction away from the common people, as far away from the common people as possible. Because if you have an issue here, let's say you go in here and they don't do something that they're supposed to do, you could actually go here and complain to these guys. Here. But, you know, 4-hour drive and all that stuff. Nobody's not even there in their mind. That, oh yeah, they get railroaded here, let's just go complain to the Supreme Court. You know? Right? So, yeah, so writ of discovery, sent, special appearance, writ of special appearance, sent to the court before entering. So when you go on YouTube and you see Moore's in court and everybody's like, oh, I can't believe you did that to the judge. These guys didn't do nothing. These guys playing around. Because when you watch those Moors on court things, when you watch those Moors on court, the key to their failure in Moors on court on YouTube is subject matter. The key to their failure is subject matter. Because if you get to this point on the court floor where you're talking about things happening with the case and all that, when you get to that point and you're talking subject matter, then you're already in the jurisdiction that you're claiming that they don't have.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a loss, but you know, you're further in than where you were. You know, you're not at the threshold no more. You're actually in the house now, trying to prove a point, right? Which is where it comes in that, you know, once you have this stuff in, writ of discovery, special appearance or something, at least you have documentation in there, in that jurisdiction that you sent to other people, so other people know that you're also going into this jurisdiction. You're not just going in there unknown, right? So writ of discovery sent, writ of special appearance, And then,
Yeah, then he said, since I never received your paperwork, we could adjourn it to a different date or do 20 hours.
Oh.
Then it won't be on your record. It's like you never had a charge. And
right, so,
and you don't think about it.
all right, so when the brother called me, right? When the brother called me, they were at the point where they were trying to get him to plead. Make a plea or whatever, so we can, get this thing going or whatever, right? And he was saying, nah, I'm not making no plea, whatever. So then they go with the, okay, well, how about a deal? So he calls me back in, they offer me a deal or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, you didn't go to court yet? No. Deal on the table before court, that's a bonus. Because it means that they obviously received something. It means that they know that if they accept the fact that they sent this paperwork and whatever stuff, when they go into the court now, they're gonna have to bring up all these papers, read them into the evidence or whatever. They're gonna have full court. What last name you have?
Rodney.
Yeah.
Rodney, but
All right, so that's R. So that's down the list.
They're gonna make it,
right?
They don't want to make it.
So depending on how many people are in court that day, would depend on how fast they get to R. But regardless of who's in the court, when they get to R, the point is that the information that he has can't come out on the court floor. Because then, everybody else would be, just like today when you guys went, you're just giving out cards, hey, I can help you get your ticket. What do you mean? Well, yeah, go in there and say this.
Yeah.
You sure? Yeah, just go in there and say this or whatever. Lady goes in there, says whatever, they, do whatever to her stuff, and more saved lady's marriage.
She still didn't get the thing, right?
But she was about to divorce her husband over this Morris shit that he's been telling her for so many years, and no way, we're not Moors and all that. I can't hear nothing that you're saying. Every time I try to talk to you, we're always arguing or whatever, I'm gonna get a divorce. And she went to court, bumped into him, and now she's in the marriage still because now the husband was right and exact about everything that he said. Everything.
Very good. Love that.
Right?
Love that.
Like everything.
Oh, that's right here.
That's my thing.
That's
Yeah.
his wife.
Yo, that was you.
That's what's up. That's good, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Contact you?
Huh?
So,
Contact you?
Yeah, we got the letter. Yesterday we saw it yesterday when we got back home.
yeah.
What is
Yeah,
it?
so we have just the notice of trial.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's a trial.
yeah, notice of trial.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
We're ready.
the whole thing is that, once people step out on this and then they try it out or whatever for themselves, right? You're gonna get a response. Right? My response that I get, and we're gonna be different from his response, gonna be different from his response, gonna be different from that guy's response, different from everybody's response. Because this is like Brother Jabbar was saying, this is your personal
Yeah.
internal,
Your thing.
exorcism that you're doing. When you say, oh yeah, I'm not Negro, black, color, I want more. Okay, you already started the exorcism. You don't need the holy water, you gotta come with a cross and stuff like that and all that. You just study and exercise yourself. Right? So they tried to offer the brother a plea. He wasn't taking no pleas. And then they said, okay, deal. And the deal is 20 hours community service, and that's it.
Or resend the paper. Or resend his paperwork.
No, the resending of the paper was because the prosecutor claimed they never got it. But everybody got it, and then all of them are, the term officer of the court. The term officer of the court is a conflict of interest term. And this is like an argument for, court or whatever. Conflict of interest because the prosecutor is the officer of the court. The judge is the officer of the court. And whoever else that you want to put down is the officer of the court. Which is conflict of interest, which is, not legitimate in court if it's a conflict of interest. Just like hearsay is not admissible. You can hear whatever. If you don't have evidence to prove recording or something like that, don't even bring it up. Right? So, being that all of them are officers of the court and it's a conflict of interest, even if somebody says they don't got it, you send it to one, you send it to all. That's why the paperwork, we have something on the paperwork called notice to agent is notice to principal.
Everybody's getting it.
And then backwards, notice to principal is notice to agent. So that means that whoever gets it, they gotta pass it up the ladder and they gotta pass it down the ladder because they received it. Whether they do it or not, that's up to them. But I know I have a copy, or I have the original of this copy that I sent them that says notice to agent. Or so you guys, and then I got the receipts right here too. So make sure you guys send the stuff up down. So when brother comes there, they're running out to the front. Make sure you look for the fez or whatever. Oh yeah, there he is, he's coming. As soon as he gets to the door, stop him. You know what I mean? Run him through the thing fast. Give him his deal. Get this guy out of here. Be done with. No whatever, no the stuff on the record, points and all that stuff, zero.
Even when you reached that point of pleading, I had a friend who said, I plead not to plead. And then it was like a circus inside there. Everybody had to be removed out of the courtroom. The the lawyer that the police had was attacking the police. It was like some crazy stuff going on. So if you had that point where you had to plead, say, I plead not to plead for the record, on the record.
So then remember, keep in mind too, that, law is specific. So you can't be, black today, and then Negro tomorrow, and then African, and then, Nuwapi, and then Hebrew, and then say, you're gonna stand up for something lawful, because, this is not specific. Black could be applied to dark-skinned people and pale people. So it's not specific. Negro, they got, black crayons called Negro. They got river called Negro. They got monkey called Negro. And then they got dark-skinned people and pale people recognized as Negro. So that's not specific. African, that's continent, and you're obviously not that. And then that continent has multiple countries. And you're not being specific as to which one of these, you're a part of or whatever, right? Same thing, Nuwapian, right? Only one person ever made a claim of that. That somebody's that, right? Okay? Not only are they Nuwapian, but they're also Cherokee, right? Which means they're not specific. Okay? So law is specific. So before we even, get excited about, oh yeah, we can beat tickets and all that stuff, right? What's your nationality and what's giving you the authority to speak the way that we're speaking? And we get the authority to speak where we're speaking because our nationality is Aboriginal, Indigenous. So, we've been here before these guys' court. So they can't tell me nothing about their court, and we have to go to their court for something because we've been here before them. You had something in the back? Question, comment?
No, going back to the officer thing, the prosecutor, the judge being officers.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the lawyer himself that represents you,
Right.
also an officer.
Also too,
so
he's
keep
officer
that in
too.
mind
Right,
because that's
right.
their bond
Right.
to keep you and make you
Yeah.
feel comfortable that you're going to be okay.
Well,
when he's already
give
in
your
their
rights.
pocket.
You move your rights. I'm
Makes
like,
you throw your rights away.
or you stand
That's the
aside.
bounty hunters.
So Dog the bounty hunter, he's not no bounty hunter. Lawyer is a bounty hunter.
Indeed.
Because his job is that, you know, you hire him for 10,000, 5,000, you know, 1,000, legal aid, whatever.
Shot
Guarantee you, regardless of what you pay him,
you.
guarantee you, you have to go to court. Have to go to court.
It's a contract.
Right? Have to go to court. And once you go to court, then that's where this applies. Because remember that we talked about that the court is about money. So he already got whatever from you right here, and then he's gonna take you to the court, and then those guys are gonna rape you. On top of the 10,000 or whatever that you gave him. That you gave him that because he's gonna get you off of something. But then, you know, most of the time with paying this, they still tell you, you know, they'll take the deal or whatever, you know. Do a year in prison and, you know, everything will be all right. And as soon as they go there, you already know that they sold you up. Because you're really supposed to be getting off your whatever stuff that they got. Because all this stuff that we're talking about, they know that they can use as an argument if you got something. It's not they don't know. They can tell people, oh, sorry, you know, prosecutor, throw this out because you guys haven't proven that you have jurisdiction. You haven't proven status. You know, my client is, you know, dark skinned, and none of you guys in here are dark skinned. That's diversity of citizenship, so you guys should maybe switch and get everybody in here dark skinned. So now that, you know, he has somebody that he can culturally identify with, so he can feel that, you know, it's legitimate. As soon as you get into the situation of, you know, it's like when you look at club scene, and then you walk in the club and there's all men there. Am I in the right place? Is this a spot? You know, like, let me check the flyer or whatever, see if this is really the spot that we're supposed to meet at. You know, because and when you realize that, oh, hold on a second, you guys actually gamed everybody. The only balls at this dance, everybody paid $50 to get in here. There's one sister, 4 sisters or whatever. Because consented. Didn't have to go, but you know, somebody told you that, yeah, that's the spot to go to. And then just like what Jabbar saying, you know, realize who the frauds are, and then nobody said, hey, yo, see those guys party? Don't go to those guys party ever. Everybody wants to be friends with these guys because, you know, the next party, yeah, next party's gonna be the one, you know what I mean? You can bring in, create the records and get in for free. You know, it's still balls party. And everybody's still going to the same stuff, going through the same stuff. No different than, you know, Caravana. Every time of the year, $10 turn party, Caravana, $100 party. Everybody just going, just putting on $100, just going. Like it's no big deal. Then complaining that they can't pay this, can't pay that, but they go $100 party.
It's the same club as yesterday.
Yeah, right. It's the same club that they went to last night that they paid $10.
Oh yeah, when the culpable monkey asked me if I was free man on the land.
Right.
And then I was like, oh no, I'm North American, the cop. And he turns to his buddy and his buddy is like, they're the same thing.
So you said, she told me.
They'll try to label you. Just to get you out of this jurisdiction.
Yeah, so now even on that level, that's, you know, once again, same thing like what Jabbar was talking about, that, you know, we don't, more is that study and all that, we don't push sovereign of the land and sovereign citizen and all that as who we are. Just because that's not our mentality as Moors. Right? Because in order to be a sovereign, citizen, or the reason why they say that they're sovereign citizens is because they're going on the misinterpretations, right? That the states are sovereign. But, you know, if they don't do, you know, but we already know that the sovereign Europeans, their position is to secretly still steal the Moors' birthright without the Moors, you know, kicking their ass for stealing their birthright, because, you know, oh yeah, they're putting out so much information, let's, you know, listen to what these Europeans are saying or whatever, when they're stealing Moors' birthright. So they're saying sovereign citizens under the guise that the states are sovereign. So we put the state republic, they're under the guise that the state republics are sovereign. So they say that they're sovereign citizens, right? But then when we look at the sovereignty of the states, right? You're going to do your research on HJR 192, 1933, and the bankruptcy, and the fact that the so-called sovereign states been dissolved since 1933. Oh, and not only dissolved and insolvent and bankrupt. So they're making a claim that they're sovereign citizens of state republics that are insolvent, bankrupt, and dissolved.
So when Roosevelt pulled that stunt in 1933, how did that affect the states vis-a-vis the federal government? Because their argument is that the states originally together created the federal government.
Right.
So in '33, you know, when he did all of that, how did that affect the state?
Because the New Deal brought about the birth certificates, which eliminates the sovereignty. Because prior to '33, you know, states didn't have birth certificates, licenses, and stuff like that.
No country. Yeah, no country.
But when, well, let's back up this a little bit. So in '29, when Joe Ali went to the Pan American Conference in Havana, Cuba, he was able to make a claim, same thing like the court. If we look at the court, for example, right? Moore is going to go in the court and make a claim that he's a Moor. Court's going to try to say, no, you're not Moor, you're a Negro black colored. So we have jurisdiction over you, right? But this is under a court that's administrative, or what they call quasi, which means it's not real. It's only acting to be a court, right? So what happened in the Pan American Conference is that you have Joe Ali, right? Then you have, you know, the Pan American, or let's put Pan Americans as the court, and then you have the U.S. over here, right? So the Pan American people call the conference, and the Pan Americans include, you know, all the jurisdictions within the Americas. And also too, keep in mind that because of the arrangement, right, that was one of the only ones that the Sultan went to, because that's where the mandate came from, for these guys to be over here and saying that they're a government. But the arrangement that these people have is based on 50-year mandate that every 50 years have to get signed over again. And then during around the times of during around the times of Noble Drew Ali, so 1913 to 1929. And then after 1929, you realize that this stopped. They stopped talking about 50-year mandates and stuff like that, and you know, them having to contact the Sultan to get permission again, to get the mandate again, to have more collateral or whatever, because 1933, they're dissolved. So there's no need for you guys to come asking the Sultan for anything because you don't have anything right now. And everything that you guys have was given back to the true heirs. So now, the true heirs become the government. Because there's no real government that is going to be legitimate in America that is run by Europeans. It's not working like that. There's no European government in Cuba. There's no European government in Mexico. There's no European government in Brazil. There's no European government in Guyana. There's no European government in Paraguay, Chile. You go down the list.
But
the only place that has European government is U.S. and Canada.
But the mentalities are there.
The mentality is there.
In the absence of the true people, no.
Yeah, in the absence of the true.
But remember that even though they have the mentality of European or Europeanized or whatever, they're nationalizing everything over there. And Europeans can't touch it. So Europeans can't go to Cuba and say, oh yeah, you know, the mine over there, we're just going to come over here and we're just going to take this mine. They're not going to Brazil and just say, oh yeah, we're just going to go take stuff. Because they don't have no jurisdiction over there. They have to get permission from those people. And those people are like, you guys aren't even government. What are you guys trying to pull?
Yeah. That's why the U.S. is always trying to trick their way into different countries. Like right now, they're showing everybody on CP24 the Islam. And they're showing the ISIS and trying to introduce you guys to ISIS. Y'all never even heard of ISIS, ever. And then when they're ready to bomb something or blow something up here or in the U.S., they're going to blame it on ISIS. And, you know, the mass people are going to say, yeah, ISIS did it. And then it gives them jurisdiction to go over.
Just like Saddam did it.
Yeah.
And, you know, whoever else did it. Osama did it.
Bin Laden
gives
was the
them
last
jurisdiction.
Did it.
As the people, when the people say, yeah, go get them, then they say, yeah, we're going to get them. And they'll go.
And then, but then, you know, they're not going for, you know,
they get you.
People. They're coming.
They get you.
Because, you know, ISIS and US or whatever, you know, they're like this.
Yeah. Same.
One father, the
true.
other.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, just like Osama and US is like this. Okay. And Hitler and US is like this. And, you know, whoever else that sides with them and the fraud that they're running. So once they got everybody to think that, okay, because remember that, you know, these are successive conferences, so there's one to whatever they got now. Every year, I don't know, they're high now. I don't know where they're at now. But this was the 6th one. And this one there's no records of. That if you go research 6 Pan-American conference, you're not find nothing. If you do find something, it's going to be like very limited. Why? Because Noble Drew Ali was there. These guys lost all their stuff, so they're going to hide that information.
For the 6th, it was not the 5th, but the 6th.
Pan-American conference, yeah.
So what happened? It went like 1 to 5, all this information, and then it went 6.
6, no
and then
information,
it went 7.
And then 7 information. Yeah. And then I got that from Reference Library downtown when I went to check that out. And they had articles of 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And 6, nothing. You know, 7, 8, you know what I mean? Scattered information in the other ones, but 6, zero info. Zero, like no information.
It's called the library.
Yeah, like it is called the library. You know, library well, right?
Very on information.
So the sovereign citizens claiming that, you know, the states are sovereign, that's why we're sovereign citizens and we're going back to whatever. Really and truly what they should be going back, the sovereign state they should be going back to is the Moorish Empire. But then if they go out there, then that means they're not sovereign. They can't make the claim of sovereign if somebody else is giving them that sovereignty. Then they're back onto, you know, they're back where they were during the rule of the Moors, you know, subordinate. You know, shut the hell up. There's a university right over there you need to go to, get some knowledge or whatever, ASAP. But you guys, you know, didn't learn nothing when you came out the cave. You just came out and, you know, tried to pretend that they had something when they only got 33 degrees of 360.
It's part of that naturalization argument too, right?
Right. And then that part of it, you know, the sovereign citizens are the ones that should be naturalizing, because they're the ones that are foreigners. We're not foreigners here, right? I was talking with Amor about it, you know, looking at it from the perspective of if Moors if Moors are saying that we have to naturalize because the European made us Negro black colored, which means that us being Negro black colored means that we're foreign to this land, right? Then what they're saying is that the European is the one that has the power. If he's going to tell you that you're black, you're not Moor anymore, you're black now, and he's European, where do you get the authority to go around mislabeling people and all that? How did he get the authority to do that? Yeah, he could shout anything out of his mouth, but you know, you have to have some, just like the guy sitting at the guy sitting on the bench. You know, if you claim that you're a judge, then you should have some type of paper, you know what I mean? Certificate, something behind you hanging on the wall, right? No difference you go into a doctor's office. If nothing's on the wall, you're not gonna go get no checkup. Who walk into a doctor's office and the wall's empty, and they're gonna go like, yeah, just, you know, do whatever you gotta do. Yeah, right. First thing people are looking at is check the wall, see if this guy's legitimate. Wherever, cabbie, stop cabbie. You get in the cab, and he doesn't have the picture saying his name or whatever like that. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the little box with the numbers, but he's a cabbie, red, you know, yellow and whatever, orange and black. You're just gonna jump in. Yeah, take me over there. And then you end up on the news talking about, you know, he pretended he was a cabbie. But he never had anything in there to prove that he's that. You know, why would you go in?
But wouldn't the judge have it in his office, or saying he should have it in?
It's supposed to be present.
You should have it in a card. You should have it wherever.
Just like
all it has is their
just like
judge,
police have a badge.
Whatever.
Things on status.
Whatever. I don't care what it is. It could be a little card. It could be whatever. Show me something to prove that you are who you are. Just show me something. That's all. You know, it's not no crazy request. You know what I mean? You know, it's not something that you know we're you know, like when people say you know, I'm not giving my SIM card because, you know, they said not to give that out personal or whatever. That's not what that is. He's supposed to be flaunting that, like, yeah, I'm the judge around here, you know, just so everybody knows, you know, walking report thing around his neck or whatever, that he's the judge. And if he's not, then we should challenge him. So if you don't challenge him, that's the guy that's going to put you away for 20 years because you spit out there. And nobody challenge him? They just let him put people away? Then after you get put 20 years for spitting, now everybody's mad, protest, march, oh yeah, they did this. You guys should have asked them this stuff from the jump. You wouldn't be in those situations. Because, again, all these courts around here are quasi-courts, right? Are de facto courts, right? Are not real, right? All of them. All of them. There's none of them that are real out here. Zero of them are real.
Traffic courts are the worst. They're the most fakest of all of them.
Because the jurisdiction of court.
They move the fastest. They move the fastest.
Yeah, because they're the fakest. Out of all of the so-called courts, they're the fakest.
First jurisdictions are those. And that's it. There's no other jurisdiction of court. Either it's civil or it's criminal. And if you're not in any of these, when it's time to go to court, then you're in one of these ones. Quasi, de facto, you know, illegitimate, illusionary, oh yeah, administrative. And that's just what it is. People could accept it, not accept it, whatever, that's their business. That's what it is. Civil and criminal, if you're not in that, then you're in one of these ones. And if you're in these ones, guaranteed, railroad. Either financially railroad you, or just straight deny you due process. Every day, all day.
Family court is civil court?
Yeah, family court would be civil. You know, for example, like if we look at family court, right? Family court, you know, children's services, when they go to jack the children, children's services, they're going to use civil court to steal the children, right? How? Because more than likely, once children's aid is involved, it's some type of mom versus dad, whatever, right? And at the same time that they're trying to steal the children in the civil court, they have the mom and dad in the criminal court dealing with some criminal matter because somebody called, because somebody hit somebody, or somebody abused somebody, or somebody did something that, you know, quote unquote criminal. So while they have them over here, they're over here claiming the child. So when this is done, right, by the time this is done, however long this takes, this process here is like a, you know, a one-session process. They're just going in, they're gonna say, all right, we're the children's aid, whatever, right? Child name, you know, Stephanie is a ward.
Birth certificate.
So if she's a ward, that means she needs a warden to put her under wardship. And the warden is children's services. So once they get this court thing taken care of, they make a claim on the ward, because the ward is under wardship and doesn't have any body to back them, doesn't have any flag, doesn't have any honor, respect, or respectability, whatever. It's just an entity that, you know, had something to do with these people, but, you know, they're in criminal, they can't do nothing, so we're taking the position of, you know, being able to do something to assist the situation, you know, because children's aid, we're here to help, you know, in a situation when there's problems in the household or whatever. But then when you go check children's services record, you know, their record's shittier than the parents' record.
All the time.
All the
Just
time.
about all the time.
They got people who have children's services bash sites or whatever, where they put all the cases up where children's services kill people's children, mutilated people's children, disabled people's children,
Raped.
sent them to the doctor when they're not supposed to go to the doctor, give them a shot, now they're crippled, you know, whatever. Any type of situation that is negative with children's services is out there in the public. But nobody's not, you know, this is a quote unquote, you know, governmental agency. So there's no way they're kidnapping people's children and stuff like that. They're the government. The government will never do that. But it happens every day. Just go to the civil court. Just go to civil court. And the only reason we know, because, you know, in 2008, when we were dealing with that stuff, with that sister getting her children taken, we were at those sessions. And this is literally what they do. Children's aid comes in, their children are accounted for. We're going to claim them as, you know, we're going to be their wards. So we're going to get, and the judge is going to be like, yeah, you know, you guys are legitimate, and blah, 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 blah. And then they got custody. So now parents now, how they get involved is because they're the ones that sign the birth certificates, which is really a receipt for the sale of the children
The child.
to the state,
One question.
to the country, to the whatever they want to call it, the corporation.
If you do not sign to that and make that receipt,
If you
do not sign,
if you don't make this, then you should have something that's equal to this, so that when they, come at you, you have something that you can show that, now we don't have this, but we have something. And then that's usually birth record.
The church used to do that for
Right.
hundreds of years.
Exactly.
and if
Right.
you have,
In the Bible, right?
Yeah.
and if
Right.
you have none of all that, no.
If you don't have this,
Yeah,
and you don't have this,
Yeah.
when it's time for whatever, social, school, I lost my job, I need to go, get children's benefits or whatever like that. First thing they're asking for is, where's this? And if you don't have that, you're not getting any service from them.
I guess it's the generation of all your other ID.
Right. Yeah. This is the starting point. This is the starting point for whatever else
Whatever
that you
they
get
call ID.
from the so-called country, whatever that says they issue stuff.
But if you're nowhere involved, there's no dad, no nothing, and they're trying to go after you, or they kidnapped a child from you or something like that, whatever.
Yeah, well, if the kidnappers will be these people,
Right.
and they'll make sure he has birth certificate.
No, the child may have one, but the father's nowhere in the names of anything of that.
If the dad's name's just not on the document,
Right.
no, well, everything goes to the mother. That's why when you have children's services cases, the mother could be a crackhead, she'll still win over the dad who has a job. He gets $50 million a year or whatever, and he's not getting no custody. Because it goes the early years of the child's life has to be with the mother. So dad ain't winning. That's just what it is.
What if you sign the birth certificate and you reserve your rights of the child's rights?
Right, so let's get that up. So everything that we sign equals contract. Anything that we initial equals contract. And contracts can be verbal, written,
Implied.
or implied. So, because everything that we deal with is contracts, and we're living in a corporate occupying system where contract means the law. So, in a corporate system, like say we say City of Toronto, right? Corporate system. How they come up with their laws? How they come up with their laws is by getting you to say, get a driver's license, right? You get a driver's license, and you think that you're just getting a driver's license,
It's a
which is a card, and then that's it.
They say it's a privilege.
Right?
It is to drive.
Now,
Yeah, it's a privilege to drive.
attached to this, to the driver's license, is the Highway Traffic Act. Right? The Highway Traffic Act. Anything that says act on it isn't law.
That's right.
Because you look up act, it's acting, actors, actresses, whatever. So it's not legitimate. Right? So as soon as they say act, in order to make, because this is fraud, in order to make this law, people have to consent to this being law. And how they get people to consent is by getting them to get a driver's license. And then once you have the driver's license, now you're subject to the Highway Traffic Act. And if you violate, the contract, then they're going to use the law against you. So you get a ticket for, you know, ran a red light, right? The officer, so-called officer, that gives you the red light ticket, the ticket's gonna say violation of highway traffic section, whatever, right? You're subject to that because you consented by contracting with these people that we thought were, you know, legitimate government of Canada, when they weren't really legitimate government. They were just, you know, some individuals said that they're gonna start up something, and everybody just got down with it because, you know, they got $1,000 suit, they drive Bentley or whatever. So I guess they're government. They dress the part. You know, they have this big building down there. Everybody keeps flooding in there, going to pay stuff. So I guess they're the government, right? And everybody has all these contracts. So what the Shakim was bringing up was, because we're under all these contracts, and then all these contracts are fraudulent, or they're you know, linear contracts, one person signing them. There's contracts where, you know, you're literally taking something off a wall or whatever, sign it, and they're saying that that's legit. Somebody slides something on the desk to you, you sign it, they say that's legit. Go to a bank, you know, you're opening an account with somebody else who has the account, but the people who own the account, they're not signing, so you can have an account. Only you're signing. Bank manager's not even signing. So you can have an account in that bank. But then, you know, if somebody runs a fraudulent check on that account, you know, you're not getting nothing. They're gonna tell you, you gotta wait or whatever until we investigate and all this type of stuff, because it's really their account, it's not yours. If it was your account, you know, they'll be going in their pockets to make sure you get your stuff back. In their own pockets. But they don't do that. They tell you, shut the hell up, you know, we'll call you when the investigation's over, Mr. or whatever, you know, and it's 4 months later, you know, calling them, listen, no, we're investigating, you know what I mean? Chill. And majority of the time, people just chill because, you know, they want to get their little money back that they lost or whatever, you know, instead of suing these people for losing their money. Because, you know, you have a contract. You know, you fine print, you know, they're supposed to protect the people's finances and make sure that nothing happens and all that stuff. But, you know, if we get contracts, we don't read them, right? So, and because of the whole, you know, fine print, you know, you reread all this stuff, your eyes burning you because, you know, you just say, you know what, whatever, I'm gonna just reserve my rights on this, so that way I'm protected in case something goes down that, you know, is not in my favor, right? So on the signature line, right? On the signature line, all rights reserved, UCC 1-103, UCC 1-308-207, right? And then you sign over that. You sign over that stuff.
So you put that all on the all on the stand.
Yeah.
Put it all on the stand.
You pass that around right there. Yeah. Right. So we make sure that we put this on anything that we have to sign.
What's the name? What's the underline?
Whatever we have to sign.
Put his name? Yeah.
Putting this on it.
Put his title. Put his title.
Just so that you reserve whatever rights that you have, because more than likely this thing that you're signing, which is a contract, is really taking your rights and turn them into a privilege without them telling you that that's what they're doing when you sign it. Right? So then you lose all your rights, basically.
So what happens now in the sense that I sign, I reserve my rights,
yeah,
and then something happens. So
if something happens, right? So now, okay, so let's say you reserved your rights on license, right? So now you get a ticket, you know, running the red light.
No, not that one. The one with the bank, how the bank loses, they lose my money.
Yeah.
And whatever. But in the beginning of when I went in the bank to open that account, I reserved my rights.
Yeah.
So now my rights are reserved, so they lose my money. What?
Yeah, now you can go after them.
Now you can go for that.
Yeah,
Makes the lawsuit legitimate.
because you know they're under contract to protect their stuff.
You didn't agree to let them lose your money. That was no agreement.
That wasn't part of the plan, right?
Correct me, or add on to it, right? Whenever you write all rights reserved, in essence, you're saying that you're going to be judged under common law.
Right.
So there's nothing that they can write in the small print that you have to use like a microscope glass to find that they could put in there that would implicitly violate your common law right.
They can, but because you reserve their rights,
Because you reserve that,
they
right.
can't pull up those little fine print stuff that they didn't show you initially.
Poor people.
Right. For example,
Everybody
we
just
found out that for example on a check, right?
Oh, gosh.
You have a check, address or whatever, the amount thing, and then you have a signature line. This line right here on a check is words, not a line. Like if you magnify the line on the check, even with a magnifying glass, you'll see that there are separations in it. You wouldn't be able to read it with a magnifying glass. That's how small that they write that. Now, the other thing that we have to consider is that if this is issued from the bank and they created this, then they have a line that's words. Well, no one ever told you that ever. That the line that you sign on the check is not a line, it's words. What are you consenting to? That you can't read. That you're signing.
What those words are?
I don't know what the hell it says.
All rights reserved. They reserve their rights also before you.
Okay. Right. So it might be even online.
So they reserve
What's
their
written on
rights.
it?
That contract did not bind either.
Exactly. That's
The banks.
That's the point.
That's the point.
God damn.
Because they're protecting
They're
themselves.
protecting themselves.
The banks.
And then they don't tell you. And then they know that when you fall into it, it's like,
Yeah, they got you.
Yep.
Especially
Right. No different than
What do you do though?
movies or whatever. First thing, they're reserving their rights. Copy this shit, we'll sue you guys with $50 million and whatever else. Now everybody's bootlegging, and you don't hear nobody suing. No, nobody want anything. So it's not really that they're putting it out there because they want to sue people. They're putting it out there because it's common custom that you reserve your rights, and we're just finding out 2014 or whatever, and these people have been reserving rights for ever. Right?
When I learned in contract signing or contracts, you can cross out that line that says all rights reserved. You cross it out, initial it, and then sign it. And then it takes out their all rights reserved.
From them, from under them.
Yeah.
that could work sometimes, but they'll
Yeah, because
go behind
then,
your back and
Yeah, because just like they're gonna challenge you when you reserve your rights, right? If you try to get rid of their reservation of rights, they are the same argument. It's a catch-22. But you can't tell them you can't reserve yours, but I'm reserve mine. Right?
Well, it's an agreement. So whatever they put on that piece of paper, you can strike it out. That means that you don't agree to it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That's their contract.
And they want you to agree.
no, but
So
because
how-
you don't know, because you don't know that they're not agreeing.
Like what I'm saying is that if you
If you have a
if
copy
you reserve,
of it,
if
though. You
you
have a copy of it.
Probably the check.
if they reserve rights,
Yeah.
right? You reserve rights.
Right.
The position that they have is that they've been swindling people. So you reserving their rights only means they can't rape you. But I got 50 million other people out here that they could rape, and they'll go after them. Right? Now, if they're taking the position of giving you the contract, and you're like, scratch that out, scratch that out, scratch that out, and then you sign.
You do that.
They have a right to say, you're not scratching nothing out on our stuff. We don't want to do business with you.
Simple.
But that's the same position that we should be taking. When they say, well, you can't reserve your rights or whatever, our bank doesn't authorize that. Oh, all right, peace. I don't need you guys' bank. You got 50 other banks out here that I could go, that they're gonna let me reserve rights on that stuff. Yeah, you might have a little higher, interest rate or something like that, but hey, at least they're not stopping me from exercising my rights, opposed to, doing business with somebody trying to stop you from exercising your rights. But they can exercise theirs though, and they could reserve rights and have stuff written in small print or whatever like that. But you can't.
Before they scratch it out and then they actually accept it.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
And
that's
what I'm on like trips.
Yeah, and if that's the part of just trying stuff when you get knowledge. Because with knowledge, situations, conditions, or whatever change. You know what I mean? Just with knowledge. Forget application or whatever. Just to have knowledge alone is gonna change the environment, the atmosphere around you.
I mean, I went to Everest College, signed UCC, all that stuff.
Yeah.
On it, and that made sense. That education.
Yeah.
Good to go. In 2012 I did that. But the joke is they got the creditors get at me. When I got to take the court, I got the copy of the original. Let's get it out.
Right. Because remember in a corporate occupying society, contract always makes the law. Whatever you sign, there's something attached to that underlying tone of whatever that they're going to use as the law when you violate whatever. So reserving your rights on that contract, and then 10 years later they want to take you to court because you didn't do something. Your thing is produce the contract.
Original contract.
And then produce the contract I signed with you guys so that we can show the court that I was competent enough to reserve my rights on it, because I knew that you guys were a fraud. So I'm not going to just sign with nothing. And then have them be here with you guys today, and you guys trying to tell me that I owe you something, when you guys didn't present the contract yet to prove that I owe you something, that I even signed up with you guys, which is the argument nobody brings up. Taxes, you owe taxes. First thing, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to, my job and all this type of stuff. When first thing, where's the contract I signed with you guys? Because remember, if you put your signature on something, right? That thing that you put your signature on, they're selling that to China and Japan and whoever else as bonds. So the reason why you're asking them for produce the contract is they probably don't even have the contract no more, and they never thought that you would be competent enough to ask for it. That's why they sell it, because they know the average person, they don't know what's going on after they put their signature on something, and they send it in. They don't know what's happening with that. They don't even care what happens with that paper that they signed.
2 hours for them to sell it.
3 days.
To sell the signature.
They sell that thing to somebody else.
Shit.
Just go check. Just go ask the people, whoever you sign stuff with. Just call them up. Yo, I just wanted to check that contract that I signed with you guys in 4 years ago.
Under 48.
You guys send me a copy of that? I just want to check it or whatever. See if they send you something.
And even in court, if they produce a different contract, then you won on default. Then they have to present the original contract.
That has to be inked. No copies, nothing.
Just like bills. Everybody gets statement account in the mail. And they're going to the bank, put down their money. But Bill of Exchange Act says that if somebody's asking somebody for money, it has to be signed in the winning. Has to be. That's their act that says that. So if their act says that any bill that comes in the mail should be signed in blue ink, and then nothing that we have is signed in blue ink, and we never challenge anything or whatever, then, you know, it is what it is. Sis, you had a question?
Oh, he answered it. I was going to ask if you could go into detail of the UCC, what they represented.
Okay.
Universal Commercial.
Yeah, it's basically just what the bro said was one of them is that you are reserving your rights, and another one is that you're exercising under common law, and they can be held liable if they violate something.
And if the numbers were to be different, how would the scenario change? Or how
Well, how it works is that there's UCC books, about $1,500 or something like that, right? UCC 1 to 900, UCC 2 to 900, and then it just goes down. So the ones that we have is, UCC 1-1-103, then 1-104, 1-105, 1-106, or whatever, till they get to whatever the end is. Then 2- whatever, then 3-, and then it just goes and goes and goes on and on and on. They have UC codes for everything, right? But again, it's just because they're dealing with commerce, right? Which is trade. Then the uniform commerce code is what they have to use. So banks use UCC codes. I think it's 10 or something like that. That's how they're built. They're not gonna tell people that. They're gonna tell people, Canada Mint and all this type of stuff, and Government of Canada and whatever. When the jurisdiction that they're under is the UCCs. That's what they use in order to be a bank.
So the UCCs are common law codes?
Commercial codes.
Universal codes.
Uniform commercial codes. Meaning that in order for corporations to do trade, those are the guidelines.
Universally.
Universally. Where we are sort of tied into this is that Moors are the kings of commerce. There wouldn't be no commercial code if it wasn't for Moors being merchants and selling stuff. Right? So, the idea of this is adopted from us. But, this is not something that we'll use and, flaunt around like it's legitimate. Because the UCC codes are still subject to the Constitution. So Constitution still has more power than these codes. Mm-hmm. That's why we would tell people that you don't have to file a UCC contract in order to exercise UCCs. Like these are just codes, just like criminal code book has codes, and you could just tag a code to whatever situation. Like there's some of these that deal with mail. I think 300s. So if you, let's say for example, because it's commerce. Let's say you send a letter to Canada Revenue Agency, right? You send them a letter to Canada, say, my name is Cujo L, blah blah blah. You guys sent me a letter, just letting you guys know who I am, so that you could stop addressing me as this name that you guys have in your records. And then they send you back something in the name that you told them that you're not. There's a code that you can put on it instead of putting RTS, return to sender. There's a UCC code that you can put on the envelope, right? Then you make a copy. Yeah, you make a copy and then you send it back, just like return mail. You send it back to them with that UCC code on it. And now they gotta deal with that.
So repeat that. What's it mean? We put that code for mailing.
I think it's three.
So you let them know that you want to be
3-501.
Right.
Pretty sure that's what it is.
So let them know that they have to not from now on refer to you as
right, as how you state that they should be, and if they don't, instead of doing return to sender,
right,
you put this on it.
On notice, okay.
Right.
UCC 350.
Yeah, UCC 3-501. Right. Just look it up to double check, make sure that that's what it is or whatever, and then that. That this particular one deals with mail and fraudulent mail or whatever.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, so whenever you get something back and that it's not, then you put that on there, and you make a copy, add it to your records, so you have your record that you sent them this, and go from there. You got it? Yeah. 3-501. UCC 3-501. And then also too, remember that sometimes, they change these around. Because as people get hip to what's up, they just switch the stuff because it's really their code system.
Yeah.
So they can move stuff around or whatever like that. Just to, that's why, it's studying's imperative.
Yes, sir.
So just so that, you're wise to what's up. No different than anything else.
Sure.
You just make sure that make sure your stuff is taken care of. Where we at right now?
After 7.
7?
Just 10-7.
All right. 10 past.
10 past.
All right.
10 after 7.
Anybody got anything else? On the mental? You want to bring up questions? Comments? Whatever. It doesn't have to be with class stuff today. Whatever. Any stuff. We got about 20 minutes.
Yeah. A loaded title.
Yeah.
You break that down as to the essence of what makes that the concrete, definitive, I own my property, it cannot be taken away by any force of jurisdiction, as opposed to just your regular deed and title.
All right. So allodial is actually do this the right way. We're in the law dictionary.
Let's see here.
That's one right here. See if it's in that one, and then check see if it's in that Webster's there.
English?
Yeah. So what we're looking up is these two terms right here, feudal and allodial.
Allodial. Got it.
All right. True.
Free, not holding of any lord or superior, owned without obligation of vassalage or fealty, the opposite of feudal.
That's the written explanation. In reality, can somebody who's European based, somebody who's naturalized, can they actually claim a allodial title to any property?
Because
they're still considered serfs.
Right.
Okay.
And the status of the property is the status of the owner.
Right.
So if the owner is a slave, then he doesn't own anything. It belongs to the master. Okay. Which is feudal. Or holding of a lord. And then you just exercise whatever little privileges that you can get. Yeah. Right? Allodial is yours. But allodial is not under the jurisdiction of the Lord. So even if you let's say feudal, right?
It's not even have a
yeah, I do. Right?
Allodial.
Yeah. So if you have a deed, then that's feudal. Then that means that it's under holding of a lord, which is why your property tax is just as big as your mortgage after you're done paying your mortgage, because it's still owned by the Lord, and you're just caretaking the property. Because more than likely, you know, the individual who has a deed, you know, all capital letters, name, Negro, black, colored, or whatever like that, so they don't have any authority to own any property. And then if we look at elders, that's how elders lost their property that they were supposed to donate to their grandchildren to the church. Because they went in that jurisdiction and thought that, you know, them going to church every Sunday was just, you know, religious worship, when that was them contracting with those people. And you paying tithes to them, that means that you're, obviously that's your master. Because, you know, you should be giving tithes to Jesus directly.
That's right.
So who's this guy? Everybody's giving stuff to him. And nobody's not questioning, you know, Jesus' account.
Jesus got a credit card.
Right? You know, where's Jesus' credit card? Can we just upload this on Jesus' credit card?
Yeah.
Why do we have to put it in pastor whatever's name? Or church whatever's name? Why don't we just give it God or whatever? Who's this individual in the middle? That's the feudal lord. That's taking the position of the middleman between, you know, the individual and the higher force. You know, we're going to make sure that your bundle of money gets to God. And then they're like, yeah, sure. And then next week, you know, these guys coming up in the Benz or whatever, you know what I mean? Got the suits, you know what I'm saying? And the ladies wearing the same hat from last week, you know, same dress 2 weeks ago, you know, handed down dress from whatever. But these guys are balling. You know, they have the biggest whatever, you know what I mean, with the seats going all the way up and stuff and all that.
Right.
You know? And then people are not recognizing that these guys are funded by the same corporate state, which is really a plantation, which means that those guys are overseers, and the church is a plantation that they're just, you know, herding the sheep into the brainwash camp.
A special tax status for that too.
Right? So the deed is tied to Roman operations. The deed is tied to Inquisition practices, Inquisition services, etc. You got something?
Definition of feudal.
For feudal?
Yeah.
All right.
An ancient name, feudal actions. An ancient name for real actions or such as concern real property only. Feudal, pertaining to feuds or fees relating to or growing out of the feudal system or feudal law, having the quality of a feud as distinguished from a lodial.
Right? Fees. So as soon as you see fees anywhere, automatically that's feudal. Just that term alone. Right? So then we stop now and we think, well, okay, well, how much stuff has fees, you know, attached to it or whatever. Right? And then you realize that, you know, the whole system that we've been living under has been a feudal system. Which means, you know, the popes, Rome and all that.
That's right.
Babylon and all that stuff there.
That's
Sodom and Gomorrah and all that. But, you know, it's cool because, you know, we got bank accounts, you know, fiat in it, they got fees there. And then you got to go get your license, whatever, they got fees there. And, you know, Rogers says something, and, they got fees there. You know, you're renting, they got fees to that. Owning something, they got fees to that.
All goes back to Rome.
All goes back to Rome. And then that's why Rome's superpower.
Exactly.
Because everybody in the world thinks, oh yeah, this is religion, and I'm giving money to God when they're making the Pope rich.
No, it's that every country literally pays feudal title to Rome. Tributary back to Rome.
Yep. Right, exactly. The big one too, tribute.
The allodial title, well, you know my situation a little bit. I'm at this process. I still have a lot of study to do on it. How do you make that allodial title stick?
Just by presenting it.
Okay, and that's why I brought this up. I went up to the office there, the main office that controls each county or each section. I presented my allodial title, and you gotta have they have it now where you have to use a lawyer, one of their lawyers, and that lawyer has to have a special software. Right? So they're doing things that, in my experience, that to block some of these people that are waking up. So I'm still struggling in how I'm going to attack them next.
Yeah, it's the main thing is that
I've got something where if I put it in the local newspaper, claiming it with the printout of the allodial title, that should be suffice if they come around and say.
Yeah, there's that. There's.
Or if I make an allodial title and have it.
Yeah. Facebook. Put it and then put that on the property.
You do both of them. Everything.
You know. So make the title, put it on the property.
Well, I have a permit up now.
Yeah.
Allodial permit.
Yeah. That's the. So look at it like the permit. The allodial permit is you letting them know that you have jurisdiction over your own
my national
affairs. You don't need let's say you fix the garage, right? You have the permit to show that you're permitted to do that.
I don't have to go pay.
You don't have to go pay their guy to come out to check to make sure the blah 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 blah, right? Because the permit that you have is allodial.
So that's
it's not holding a lord. That's your own personal permit.
So this permit here is just if I want to do any changes to this structure,
you have a permit. Yeah, you don't need to go to them, right? The allodial title is directly connected to the property
that you own
the actual property itself. Right, because your nationality ties you to the land.
Yes.
That's why you can claim the property.
Yes.
Right? You're not claiming the property because it's on the land. You're already tied to the land based on your nationality. So you having the allodial title is to put them on notice that this is your claim. And then, once you put them on notice, then you give them a time frame. Because remember too that the time frame is also part of it.
They have to respond back to you.
So they have to respond to you in a certain time that you say.
The right to discover.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't respond, so I put them on a default notice. So if they don't respond, that's my next step is the allodial.
Then you put the allodial. Then that package right there that you have, then now that becomes that you put them on notice. You did what you're supposed to do. What they do, that's up to them. What they do. You do what you're supposed to do, and then once you do what you're supposed to do, then you have that documented evidence that you did what you're supposed to do. And then again, we're dealing with funeral operations, which is a Pope, right? Which is Vatican, Jesuits, Ku Klux Klan, whoever else. So as soon as we start standing up for stuff, you already know, it's not gonna be no cakewalk.
It's gonna be easy. I don't know if this is serious, man.
Yeah, it's deep.
Like it's very deep, but I don't know if people are ready yet. Like I don't even know if you're ready. Like you don't have to be ready. Like there's no choice. There's no choice. I don't think there's a choice.
We've been how we've been taken advantage of, right? The way we've been taken advantage of as a people, right? The way we've been taken advantage of as a people is really on us.
Yeah,
it's not really, we got enemy and kill the cracker and all that. Not really the enemy, really. You know what I mean? They're just doing what, it's like, you use the example of, you back a raccoon in a corner, you're going to scratch your face off and get out the corner. No matter how big you are, it doesn't matter. No matter what club you got. Once an entity is in a position of their backs against the wall, and they got nowhere to go, and they want to live still, they'll take you out to live.
But the thing is, what I've been seeing over like the past few years, and even up to what's going down in the States and stuff, yeah, slowly and slowly we're being eradicated. Like slowly and slowly they're getting rid of us.
Well,
and the ones
getting rid of Negro black colored people.
Yeah.
But
I was a Negro black colored person at one time.
Yeah.
Right. So the ones who are still in that state, they don't know how to they're gonna react like the raccoon.
Yeah.
And they want them to react.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah. Right. That's why They call them coons.
Well, however, but what I'm getting at is that
no, but that's why they call them coons.
No, I understand that. I understand that.
Coon. That's why they call them coons.
I think Italians call us coons too, or something like that.
Because they got us in a corner.
Mulis.
Right.
Yeah, but whatever it is, what I'm getting at is like, it's like,
yeah, it's not
it's Muli.
Because what I understand is if we keep doing, I don't know, I used to do black prom, or I had something to do with black prom way back in the day, you know, a little flyer pushing or whatever, but I was into black prom. And by the second year, trust me, I don't even remember. I was in Brampton at the time.
Okay.
But by the time the second one came around, it was squashed.
Yeah.
You know, they started running all this talk about just the whole prejudice, racist thing, all that type of crap.
Yeah.
You know, so what I'm seeing,
there be a black prom and all that type of
all that type of crap. You know, but really there shouldn't be a black prom. There should be a more prom.
Yeah.
Right, if that's the case. Right. So as we get to where we're supposed to get to, you know, as when we go into court, you got like out of 10 people say, you got like 1 or 2 people now coming up saying, I'm Moorish American.
Yeah.
Right now they don't really care. But when you got 7 out of 10 coming up and now 8 out of 10 coming up, and,
it's a different game at that point.
Right, yeah. That's when the game changes, and then they're gonna have to say, okay, what's?
Well, you know, remember that we're the only ones that's in the dark. Europeans know what's up.
Yeah.
They know we're Moors. They know this is our land. They know that this is Morocco. They know that you know there's 50-year mandate. U.S. has been dissolved since 1933 and all that stuff. They know all that. But you know, if the actual heirs don't know, then they can continue on with whatever it is that they've been doing, because the actual people who are supposed to be standing up for this, they're ignorant to law. Law is not even something on their dial plate.
I think if we all take this as an individual thing, not as because my brethren's going sort of thing, or you know, if we all do it as an individual thing, I think when the day of, because people notice that these people aren't gonna give up no change without no type of bloodshed. Right? I don't know if whatever. Like, this is how my brain thinks.
That's also the same thing about us coming into the being the Moors.
If we do it as individuals,
you have a problem, or you went through something that's you need some help or some work with.
What's that?
So like you said,
individuals.
They're not going to give it up without no bloodshed. But in the second round, people who are clipped that are black out there and Negro, they're not coming into the Moors because there's no benefit for them. They don't think there's any benefit for them, and like you said, they're ignorant to everything, and
that's why
they need tragedy in their life to make a move.
For them to do something. Change. That's why Geraldi said, no Moors will only learn at the point of a sword.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you know,
so
that's just what it takes.
I'm saying, if we learn this individually, not because you're doing it, if we learn this individually, when the time comes to take a stand, like, we'll actually really take a stand that really matters.
Just it's like the empowering nature of this information, right? The empowering nature of this information, for people to realize that, oh yeah, European's not my God. He's just a regular dude that I could question and ask stuff to. He's got no superior power. You know, he doesn't have nothing more over me because, you know, I live in Metro Toronto housing or whatever, and he lives Richmond or whatever. Don't mean nothing. You know, it's us not having the knowledge. You know, us don't know. You know, you don't know how to you know, use a hammer. You know, I give you a nail and a hammer, you tear the whole place up.
This day and age, it's us not wanting to know the knowledge.
Right. You know, and I mean, you know, a lot of that has to do with our own people.
As we say,
you know, why we don't want to learn anything.
You're not a part of the, what is it, my brother? If you're not a part of the problem.
If you have no solutions, you're not part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Simple as that.
No, if you're not a part of the problem, you're going to be our problem later on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, because
nobody cares about us. If that's the case.
Yeah, well, you can't wrong them. Because Drew Ali came since 1913 telling these people that they're Moors. In 2014, you're still talking about March Pickett, listen to Al Sharpton, he's CIA agent, book out on him and all that. And you guys still got this guy up front pushing civil rights, which have been unconstitutional since 1800s.
This is ridiculous.
The 1800s, civil rights have been unconstitutional on the books in the United States of America. And 2014, they're still pushing civil rights as remedy for Negro, black, colored people. That's been unconstitutional since the 1800s. And they're still pushing that, thinking, oh yeah, you know, we're just gonna go up there and push that, and then they're gonna respect whatever they're saying. Please. More of those people are gonna get choked out on corners, shot up walking down the street and all that, as days go. Because what's the European doing? The European is solving the Negro problem best way that he sees fit. You gotta eliminate these people. Because what are they doing? They're hanging on the corner.
Nothing.
And drug dealers or whatever. You know, even the ones who got some fiat, got some common sense, they don't even think. You know what I mean? They got $50 million that they owe the IRS, which is a foreign private corporation, and they're not challenging that foreign private corporation as to who they are, that I gotta pay you $50 million. You know what I mean? They don't have common sense to ask the government official in their state, hey, do you guys back these guys over here? Because they're telling me that, you know, they're the ones that make up all the tax stuff or whatever like that. But, you know, I mean, the Constitution, you know, that has something to do with Congress. So I just want to check with you, you know, because you're the governor or whatever. I just want to make sure that you back these guys over here before I pay them $50 million. And when the governor writes back a letter, IRS, what are you talking about? Who's that? You know who that is. You know who those people are. They don't have no department in our office. So, you know, do what you got to do, but we don't rep those people. Right? What's Negro, black, colored people going to do? Still go pay. Because, you know, their God, the European, is going to come steal their stuff if they don't pay that $50 million. You know, they're not going to get their award, their badge. And that's where our people are. But it's okay, because, you know, point of the sword is coming around, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting the sword to their neck. What are you going to do?
Next 3 years, you're going to see a lot of
claim my
same thing going on in the States. It's going to be crazy up in the next 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
and then remember too that you know, as far as this jurisdiction is concerned, you know, Negro, black, colored might not be getting shot up by police and stuff like that, choked out on the corner out here. But you know they just built a prison.
Big one.
Yeah, okay.
Big one.
So they got plans.
Big one.
They got plans.
I have the next question about the jail thing.
Yeah.
Jabbar was talking about a forum that two temples trying to set up about like how to help the Moors or get locked up or something like that. Can you elaborate about that a little bit?
Well, what he was saying was not what he was saying. There's Moors who have took the position of going to the jails to go free people.
Okay.
Forget out here. Right? Go get the people in there. You know, people who are coming out, people who are doing time, whatever like that. Don't cast them out. Give them the information too, because even those people in there could raise their self. What he was saying is that there's two factions of Moors that do that, but they don't build. So he's saying, why don't y'all just bring the stuff together and have a unified front that deals with the prisons, as far as Moors are concerned. Because it's not every group of Moors that deal with the prisons. Because some Moors get blocked, you're not sending no stuff in. And then there's some Moors that get the pass, and you could send whatever in the prison, right? And those two branches of Moors are the Moors that made it to that level, where they can send stuff and nothing's not getting come back or return to sender, we can't send this in or whatever like that. You know what I mean? Right? So he's just saying those Moors should just come together and you guys be the Moorish jail ministry Moors. And that's all you deal with. Don't even worry about dealing with anybody else, dealing with anything else. That's you guys' jurisdiction. You know what I mean? And then whatever it is, you know, if there's, you know, we get calls. You know, we get letters from prison all the time here. You know, Moors not even here. Moors, Virginia, Chicago, wherever, sending stuff here. They're not going to those ones. They're sending stuff here. Yeah, you know, we heard about you guys or whatever. You don't want to send some stuff. You know what I mean?
That's props to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, real recognize real.
Your name's
real recognize real.
So, big up for that.
Real recognize real. Right? And just like you're saying, it's if everybody sees it as an individual thing, if everybody sees it as theirs, just like Charlie said, it's your stuff. I mean, you know, you can defend it or you can not defend it. But, you know, I would suggest you defend it because it's your stuff. And if you don't defend it, then, you know, these guys out here are definitely going to be raping the people. Raping them of birthright, raping them of, you know, consciousness, raping them of whatever they could get. So you already know fiat's not what they're about getting. so there's something else that's a commodity out there that they're getting from our people specifically, that they're not getting from anybody else. They don't want it, you know, because, you know,
it ain't good.
All the good organs and pineal glands are Asiatics. They're not getting no European pineal glands to make melatonin pills and shit like that.
What do you think the purpose is for the southern border being, quote unquote, the southern border being left open to purposely flood the United States with you know, Mexicans and South Americans?
They
to replace the Negro black colored people, and also too to even out all the Europeans who's denouncing their U.S. citizenship and going back to Europe.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's not being reported, right?
Yeah, that's something that they need to report on. How much Europeans aren't U.S. citizens anymore?
That have fled the U.S.
Openly, yeah. You know what I mean? That have fled. Not just, you know, they're not U.S. citizens, they're staying. They're U.S. citizens packing up all their stuff, going back to wherever they came from.
Wow. Market's good, man.
So the reason number one is to replace, again, the NBCs.
Well, also too, to replace the NBCs from the perspective of, because remember there's you know, things like North American Union, right? Mexico, China, and Canada being one supercontinent. If they open up the borders, you know, then now they got workforce now. Because, you know, Mexican, they'll work for $2 an hour.
For sure. There's multiple reasons. It's like a chess move.
Yeah,
there's multiple fronts
multiple
on it.
reasons why they would let them across.
But you would say number one is to replace.
Number one, replace. Because, you know, if they don't have, and with the North American Union, you also have, you know, China coming in, buying up stuff. You know what I mean? So they're going to need employees or whatever like that for their, you know, to do what they do.
Yeah. You don't think it's because they're also Moors from Mexico? They're allowed to walk across the border?
Yeah, that, I mean, that could be for international people. You know what I mean? International people who are looking at, you know, what's the situation going on over there? Oh, they opened up the border to the Mexicans. Oh, I guess they recognize that this is their land or whatever. You know, so they
that can't add up because they'll still report them.
I don't think.
Yeah, that's
still wrong.
But remember, it's a guise for the international community. Just like Hillary Clinton with the Moroccan flag in the back, you know, and they're having a conference, you know.
Right, that was huge.
And you know, people not really paying attention what's going on, but international people, they're like, oh, I guess they are the legitimate government because you know they got the legitimate flag behind them. Whether they rep it or not is irrelevant. They're just doing it for show, just so that
symbology,
just so people could see that they're representing really what the government is. Even though the common people have no idea, but you know they're stateless, so they don't expect anything from the common people.
Right.
They don't expect them to know why Hillary Clinton is sitting with a Moroccan flag. Why are they talking about Egypt? She doesn't have no Egyptian flag behind her, but she has a Moroccan flag behind her. You have no Egyptian flag, like what? You know, and then she's doing that from Ben Franklin room.
Right.
That they never do. Like you never go check the record. They don't use that room for no meetings or nothing like that.
So why they
Benjamin Banneker room,
right?
The international world.
To make them think that they're because we're waking up. Because we're waking up.
Right. Because we're waking up, but we're not in the position of government. Yeah. Europeans are. So the Europeans are putting up the front that yes, we are the legitimate government. Look, we have the Moroccan flag. Look, we have an Asiatic president
and the internationals
and a European vice president. Nobody prophesied that that's what's going to go on. We're just following along with the protocol of the Moors or whatever. And the international community, all they want to do is just see it.
Yeah, they should, all they need
just to make sure that, okay, yeah, you guys are legit, we can be allies, we can send money, we can send troops, we can, you know, whatever, talk to the UN, see if we can get, but ultimately...
But should the internationals know that they're not legit?
No, yeah, well they know, but, you know, they're allies. So, if it's like,
me against the world.
Yeah, it's like, they have to, if the allies call out the U.S, right, for being criminal, and they say, okay, you know what, the U.S, these guys are violators of human rights or whatever, you know, we're going to put them on the wall and we're going to kill all their officials because they're a fraudulent Inquisition occupational force that took over people's land, right? The UN, all the allies or whatever, they're going to have to go line up on the wall too and put the gun to themselves and pull the trigger. Because everybody's down with the fraud of the U.S. Everybody took a little, you know, sip of that Kool-Aid. And then now it's coming around now that, you know, oh, you know, Operation Paperclip, you know, the U.S. funded Germany. That's right. Right? Same people that are talking about Nazis and all that. You know, we can't have them in our country and all this type of stuff. You guys funded them? In secret? Yep. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because it's going to come out. They can't really hide, really. I mean, they could hide, but...
Yeah, everybody's too busy trying to live.
Everybody's too busy trying to live. Right? And once they get the people to that point where, you know, they forget about who's the legitimate government, who's the legitimate prime minister, president, you know, are these people, you know, the authority, you know, they're not called, why they call themselves American when they're European, why they call themselves Canadian when they're European, you know, why they make up something called Canadian, they don't call that around here.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? But if they can get the people not thinking there and just think, oh my God, how am I going to live tomorrow? A job I need or whatever like that, then they got them. And then they continue to rule. Because the people aren't realizing that those guys are imposters. They've been imposters. They've been imposters. Not they just started being imposters recently. They've been imposters. They've been had people who look like us working against us to keep them in power. And we don't want to recognize that because, you know, we want unity amongst the black people. You know, there ain't no unity with black people. Yeah. Negroes, Africans, there ain't no unity there. There's only unity in nationhood. It's the only place there's unity. And there's no disagreements in nationhood. Because we can ask whoever else that says they're all these different religions. When nationality time comes up, forget a religion. Yeah. They're dealing with national principles. If it goes down to the get down, and we have to go start picking up guns and bombs and all that stuff to defend our land, they're not repping no religion. It's irrelevant at that point. You know? If anybody has if anybody needs Hidden Colors 3, read that. We got that here. We got the DVD from last week that we showed with Jabbar Gaines and David Bailey dealing with the history of the Moor Science Temple. We got that. And we also have, if you need law dictionaries, we got law dictionary on CD. I think Black's Law 1.
How much for the new colors?
Oh no, we just, you know, just giving those away. But, you know, I bootleg people's stuff, you know. We'll give it away for free.
Give a donation if you want, don't be shy.
We'll give it away for free, but we're not a bootleg, you know what I mean? Because, you know, people going around taking people's videos because they're bootlegging them and stuff, you know. Yeah. So we'll just give it away, you know. It's not worth paying for. So,
all rights reserved.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll just close out. Give thanks to everybody for class today. Let's close out with the prayer, and we got some time to be here for a bit. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace.
Freedom.
And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night and by day. To His holy prophet. Ashe.